the slides. Just vibe. All right, check. All right, we good. Let's lock in. Hold on, maybe TikTok something. See if they need one. Boom. I'll go live on these boys over here.
I'm generally pretty.
All right, let's lock in. Dang, that camera is diabolical right now. All right, I'm trying to think. I think it's gonna be 11. I think I'm trying to see. I'm trying to make sure everybody in here before I start up, because after I start, I'm gonna be in that flow, and then somebody gonna hit me with that ding, and I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm gonna start locking the class at like 8:05. All right, let me get it right. Make sure your TikTok knows where to find me at. Let me see. Hold on, let me put the link in the TikTok thing, just in case they come watch from over there. There we go. All right, I think that's everybody. Bet. Let me pin that comment, and we gonna lock in. Bet. What's up, y'all? Okay, bet. I'm live on Instagram, but it's not showing. Maybe I gotta do a different page. All right. What did you familiar? Let's lock in, man. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was here and everybody was able to see what's going on. So today, we're gonna be going over posing, man. We're gonna go over the intro. This is basically the intro to posing and directing. Like I told you guys, I was gonna let you guys know, like, the fundamentals that we learned last semester is literally gonna flow over into this semester as well. So let me go ahead and put this link in here for them. Hold on, let me join. Record. Bet. So the same thing that we learned last semester is going to be flowing over into this semester, right? Let's go ahead and get our water. Let's tap in. Let's get it. So we're going to be going over the intro to posing, but more so kind of like posing and directing today. Posing and direction, might I say, and how to talk to them. So how you pose and direct a client definitely matters. This is exactly what I feel like makes clients come back, because I feel like a lot of photographers can take good photos, but a lot of photographers don't have good direction. So if you are a photographer that is able to have that good direction, I feel like your client will come back over and over and over and over again, right? So we're going to go ahead and go right into it. So let me see if I press it. Is it going to let me draw today? I really hope it lets me draw today. So we came in from composition and framing. And I want you guys to know, see, look, that's what I was waiting for, because I knew that shit was going to happen, bro. I knew it was going to happen. Like the moment I got into a flow. Hold on. I got it. It's okay. I'm going to lock that, man. Give it 5 more minutes. All right, bro. I'm going to just chill. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, bro.
So, how's the weather?
It's cold as hell out here, bro. It's damn near. It was snowing in Tampa.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of shit going on right now, bro. All right, let's see, bro. Is there a way for me to like just like not allow people? I mean, that might sound bad, but I don't know. All right, man, we gonna lock in. What's up, everybody on TikTok? Timing is very important. You have to value your time. Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You're so right, Sandra.
Jackson, trick the chat. You can make someone a co-host, so they can do it for you.
How I do that? Where's that at? Let me see. To make a moderator / co-host Google Meet, you must be the meeting organizer or current host. During the meeting, click the people icon. Okay, I have to click the whole icon of the people, and then select manage. Okay, click the people. Oh, host controls. Let's see. Open must be joined. Let me see. People icon. Bro, it's literally not working. Hit the people icon. Clicks the people icon. Go to the person's name and click the three dots. It literally just says pin screen. Ask to pair your tiles. Don't watch. Remove from this call. It's like the most weirdest shit ever, bro. I literally only gives me 3 options. Bro, it literally says don't watch this person. Ask to pair your tile with theirs, meaning that we just merge, and then it says pin this person to your screen or remove from call. Bro,
Obviously you're the host for this one, correct?
Yeah, because it says it by my name too. It says meeting host you. Bro, this is slow, bro. I don't know. It's okay. All right, let me just lock in. It's fine. All right. What it do? You got a weird humming coming through. Damn. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying my best, man. I don't know. I'm trying my best, bro. Hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna set it all up on the camera. What it do, familia? What is up, Instagram, man? We're live over on YouTube right now. If you guys are watching, we're live over on YouTube at Taxi PNG. You guys for me to watch through. TikTok does not have a microphone. That is why y'all sound kind of like iffy, but it's also because TikTok's video does not save. So I'm not really too worried about TikTok's video, but if you want better quality, go to Instagram because Instagram gets higher quality. But if you want even higher quality than that, slide over to YouTube, right? So we're live on YouTube currently right now at Taxi PNG, all right? TAXIPNG. We're live right now. We're doing a posing workshop, I guess you can say. I'm going to be going over a lot of the different things that I like to use, when posing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of different things I like to use for my clients, things that I do, things that I say, things of that nature. So go ahead and go over to YouTube right now if you're not there already and lock in. I'm going to go ahead and put the YouTube name again in the comments for you guys to be able to see. And then we're going to go ahead and start with class. YouTube, TAXIPNG. I'm going to go ahead and pin that. And we have open enrollment. We just, 4 slots just freed up. So if you guys want to join, you could definitely join for some slots that freed up for lifestyle or studio. If you don't go to YouTube and find out, how you gonna ask me what you posing for lifestyle or studio? Go to the YouTube channel and find out. How about that? How about you go to YouTube and find out? TXIPNG. Yes, I am trying to funnel you to YouTube. That's the whole point. I'm funneling you. I'm using you as a funnel. Go ahead and go to YouTube, man, and go watch the video. It's free game. Go find out. Take your time and watch a little something. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. As you guys can tell, I am drained. This is like a little bit of like a pre-whatever, right? Yeah, I finished my client's shoot. I had a meet up. I had a shoot. After that, I finished their shoot, and then I edited their contents, and I wasn't done with their stuff until about 3 a.m. And I gave them back their stuff for them to be able to post the very next day. And then I woke up, and that next day was like hella a blur, can't lie. Did a lot of shooting that day as well. What day was that? That was yesterday, right? What did I do yesterday? Okay, Valentine's Day shoot. Our branding session. I had a branding session for 5 hours yesterday. So I had a campaign branding session with the client. I guess this also adds credibility. So I guess I could give you guys a little bit of a recap of the shoots that I've done between the last classes. each time we have class, because I think that adds a little bit more credibility of like me being your mentor, teacher, or whatever, professor, right? So I had those sessions, 2 branding sessions, a maternity and a Valentine's Day shoot yesterday on Sunday. And that one branding session was 5 hours, right? And then I had to edit some campaign images and then try to plan out for this class today, creating the slides and things of that nature. So if some of them have a bit of, how would you say, if some of them have a bit of like typos in them, don't do too much on me, all right? Just vibe, try to like, be okay, look past it, things of that nature, and just, help me out. It's okay. But I will finalize these slides to make them look better for when I do export them for PNG University for you guys to read and look over. I won't export them like, I guess, exactly how they look right now, but majority of them are fully done for real, honestly. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and lock into it. Today we have class. We have class on Wednesday as well. I'm looking to have a live model for Wednesday's class. I'm gonna let you guys know. Because what I think I'm going to start doing is on Sundays, I think I'm going to start letting you guys know for the posing, for the posing week, letting you guys know, for the posing month or semester, letting you guys know on Sundays what the schedule will be for class, or on Saturday, maybe Friday, I don't know, letting you know what the schedule is going to be for class for that next week, because certain times, obviously you guys know 8 p.m. isn't like, a professional hour to have someone at the studio, like, you know what I'm saying? So little things like that. And then I also have to set up the studio and do some testing to try to see how I'm going to set up the connection and stuff like that to try to run a class live in studio. So that's going to be like a little bit of a hassle or a little bit of a task, while still having to manage all of my clients as well. So give me a bit of grace. I'm going to try that tomorrow and see if I can make that happen and try to do it in the studio. If I can set everything up, the computer, the camera, and stuff like that, try to like be able to get that for you guys in OBS and stuff like on location. Try to get the connection good. I feel like that'll be good enough to run class for that session that I have on Wednesday. And that's an in-person, that's like a live session. We're gonna try to start implementing these things called like, I guess, PNG field trips, courtesy to Sham. She came up with the idea of me taking you guys like on a field trip, like for not each class or anything like that, but like every once in a while, with a real client, where I'm shooting a real client. You guys get to like watch me hands-on and things of that nature without me talking to you guys, but for you guys to be able to watch hands-on and stuff like that. I feel like that would be really cool. And it was a really, really good idea, right? So taking you guys hands-on, and then having some things for you guys to fill out as you're watching, like while I'm posing my clients in real life. Like I won't be talking to you guys, but you guys will be watching like third person, right? And then you guys will be able to get to see everything. I won't necessarily be commenting back, but you guys will be able to see how I do everything, and you guys will have a worksheet to answer along the way while I'm working with my different clients. And I feel like that'd be kind of cool. So I'll be announcing times and stuff like that for those specialty classes, because I think this month we're gonna have more than 8 classes. We usually have 8 classes, but we may have a little bit more because there might be some off times. We're like, oh, on a Saturday, if anybody's available at this time, I'm gonna be having class from this time to this time. If you want to lock in, you want to watch, you can come lock in and watch, and it will be recorded, blah blah, whatever, right? So that's gonna be really cool to be able to do for you guys, because I think posing and learning and locking in on posing is gonna be very, very important for you guys, because I feel like after you master the composition and framing that we talked about, last month, you go into posing, you start using the composition and framing fundamentals that you learned and start applying it to these different poses, right? Applying it to these different things, these different frameworks that you want to do with your client. So that gets us into today. We're going over the intro to posing itself, but with posing, you can't talk about posing without talking about directing, right? So if you want to talk about posing, you have to talk about directing. You have to talk about direction, how you speak. So I say intro to posing, but in reality, it's also intro to directing, because you have to speak to them a certain way, talk to them, show them different things that you have to do that make you a better poser overall. So how you pose and direct a client definitely matters. This right here is what will, make your client come back, because it's an experience overall. Posing them the correct way will give your clients a lived and shared experience between you and the client, right? And it'll make them come back, because depending on how you pose them versus how another photographer poses them, they may choose that photographer over you. And you might be like, damn, why? We both got the same about quality of work, but it may be because of the experience that he gave them, right? This experience right here, the experience factor, is what I feel like is the most important part of, building a photography business. Not necessarily just, becoming a photographer, because I feel like composition and framing is the number one fundamentals to know to get better. But when it comes to building a business, knowing how to talk, direct clients, knowing how to speak to them, knowing how to pose them, and things of that nature, right? So the first thing we're going over is the fundamentals of that. And before we actually get into the people portion, just things to know before. So things right here is like what you already kind of know, what we've learned before is composition and framing, right? So like focusing, we know what focusing on subtle details do. And they overall allow us as the photographers to take something that's very, very simple, very, very basic, and be able to transform it into something that feels strong, right? And that's what that composition does. You guys already learned 333, right? You guys already learned composition, framing, all of the 8 different laws of composition. And now it will allow you guys to be able to take these things and break them down to be able to use, towards learning these poses, right? So in terms of composition and framing, there's a bridge between the framing and there's a bridge between that posing, right? So we already have wide, medium, tight. We have high, eye level, low angle, right? We have, using the environment to frame the subject. We have negative space, visual balance, as well as directing the viewer's eye. We already know these things, right? These are things that we already kind of like, we already talked about. We've already learned. You've already worked through, right? So now it's taking these things and now applying them to the entire world of posing, right? So let's go ahead and go to the next one. That was from the template. It's okay. So what posing actually is, establishing, so this is where we establish that pose context when it comes to photography. Posing is how the body occupies space. That's quite literally the simplest terms to put it in. Is how does the body occupy space? How much space is it taking up? What shapes does the body create? How does this body occupy space? Right? Being a photographer, like I told you guys, is how we control our camera. Like, how do we capture light? How do we control the framing? Right? Now, outside of our camera, outside of that framing, outside of that composition, comes how do we capture this body in occupying space, right? So posing creates shapes, it creates lines, it creates a flow, right? And if you guys hear the word flow, then you guys already know where this is going to be going as we continue to go through that word flow. You guys already know. If you guys have been watching for a while, you guys know. Posing controls emotions, and it also controls and creates energy throughout that shot as well. You can frame it up a certain way, but if the framing and your composition goes against the posing, then overall the image and the story is lost, okay? Posing tells the viewer how to feel. It doesn't let them think what they should feel. It doesn't let them think for themselves. It tells them how they need to feel. When they see a pose, it evokes a certain feeling on that viewer, right? And this is all impaired with composition and framing and how you frame it, right? Using these different rules of composition and framing and matching them with these poses. That's really why I taught you guys those first. So the purpose overall of posing, or I would say the 3 purposes of every pose, is to overall, you want to complement the frame. And by complementing the frame, the pose should fit within the crop, should fit within the angle, and should fit within the composition. So depending on how you're shooting, your pose will fit within the frame differently, right? So fit within the crop, as in if you're shooting a 4x3 or 4x4, you're capturing the pose in a specific angle or a specific frame that makes sense, right? For your overall image, for your overall eye, because it constantly keeps coming back down to intention and the reasoning behind why you created a pose the way you did, or the reasoning behind why you took a photo the way that you did, why you even chose to capture a shot, right? So the pose also supports the story, right? The pose should match the mood, the vibe, or the message. Quick example, if you're doing a business branding section, right? You wouldn't have them doing, sports poses if you're doing a business branding session, right? You wouldn't have them doing certain types of poses that you would do for basketball players or football players, because they're a business person. They probably will have a laptop instead of a football. So they have to fit the story. It has to match the story and has to go with the story, right? So this kind of flows into the creation of mood boards or the creation of finding poses and stuff like that. So when you set up a story or you create a vibe overall for the photo shoot, these poses need to complement that vibe, right? You don't want to do a golf shoot and you have them posing like they're going, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to have them posing for the wrong sport. Like, you want everything to match and make sense within that. So that all goes together as well. But the overall posing also controls the energy. You can make it feel calm, you can make it feel confident, aggressive, soft, powerful, etc. just simply by posing. The same way how you guys can use a high angle, medium angle, low angle to evoke different feelings and emotions, you can do the exact same thing with poses, depending on how you have them. If you have them open, if you have them closed, it gives a different emotion and a different feeling. When their body's more closed off, their body feels a lot. It's more of a wholesome feel. It's more of a vulnerable feel, right? The same thing with that high angle, gives that wholesome, vulnerable, gives that, that, I don't want to say babyish feel, but that more so vulnerable feel. Then with that down angle, it gives more of a hero shot, larger than life. If they're more open, where are they going to look? They're going to look more larger than life. They're going to look like a hero. They're going to look more respected, right? Because you have that wider pose. I'm only using, you have that lower pose. You have that open pose is what I meant to say. The reason that I keep trying to connect these two back is because these are points you guys have already learned. Composition and framing. You guys have already learned those. You guys have already learned the 3-3-3, which is the low, medium, and high for that last three. So using that and connecting what you already know now to, the framework of posing, it should make it a lot easier for you to learn. Because if you jump straight into posing and you don't know the before, then trying to get to the after is gonna be a lot harder. Every pose has to say something, whether you mean it or not. Each pose translates something to that viewer, right? So we're gonna go ahead and get straight into the opposing fundamentals, things that I feel like go against each other, but we're like things that are polar opposites, but I feel like posing, like perfect poses, fall right in the middle of these two things, right? If it's two one way or two the other way, I feel like that pose is going to be like too extreme, or it may not affect the viewer the way that you want, right? So for example, we have still versus movement, right? So a still pose, you guys know this as static. If you guys have watched videos, we're going to get into that. Yes, a still pose is a static pose. This is not moving, right? You're not doing anything. Maybe the pose is a pose that you showed your client, right? They're doing this pose. Hey, this is the pose right here. Try that pose out. And they do that pose and they're stuck in that pose. It's a still pose, a static pose, right? Versus movement, right? My favorite, before we even I fully get all the way into it, but my favorite form of posing is this first one right here. Still versus movement is one of my favorites when it comes to posing, bro. And then we have open versus closed, right? How much space does the body occupy? If you guys have watched my videos, you guys know touch, feel, space. We're going to get into that as well. I'm just throwing those little things out there to try to trigger some stuff for you guys. For those who have watched some of my posing videos in the past, then you guys know that the terms that I'm going to be saying today are going to be making a lot more sense and triggering some things in your mind, all right? Relax versus tense, right? This could be posing based on, the facial expressions. This could be S's and triangles. Come on now. This could be posing based on the facial expressions. This could be posing based on, the body. If you're doing more so of a, like Dapper, LOL, a fitness photo shoot, they're probably gonna be more flexed, more tensed up. And it makes sense for that type of shoot. It makes sense for that type of photo shoot because that is what flows for that session, right? And you need to be more relaxed and more wholesome if you're doing a fairy type vibe. It needs to be more light and more relaxed, less tensed, right? You have soft versus strong. I feel like all of these kind of are kind of self-explanatory in some ways, because you have still versus movement, you have open versus closed, you have relaxed versus tense, you have soft versus strong, right? Or you could say weak versus strong, but I say soft because the word weak is just like too negative, I feel. But I feel like all the perfect poses fall in the middle of these. And my favorite one is still versus movement, right? And these are things that I want you guys to kind of remember when it comes time to pairing these to create your own poses, right? Because these are things that I do. These are things that I use. I use these four different opposing fundamentals to frame, to create different poses, right? So using composition that we learned with these, right? Adding them together, marrying them together to be able to curate a pose. For example, you have wide shots. These wide shots are poses that take up space. Or these wide shots, you can use poses that take up space because when the frame is wider, you're able to capture more of the subject, more of the image, right? You're pairing these two together. You have tight shots, right? Tight shots are for subtle movements. You don't want to be wide because if you have a tight shot and you're framed up tight, if you're doing a wide movement, you're not going to see the entirety of the pose, all right? And you wouldn't choose a pose that doesn't complement your frame that you want to get. If you have a particular frame that you're looking to get and you can't get that particular frame, it's because your pose isn't lining up with that frame. Like, oh, I want to get a wide shot right now, or I want to get a tight shot right now, but this pose don't look right. Maybe it's because they're taking up too much space, right? Maybe it's because they have too exaggerative of an expression, not too soft of an expression, right? These are just things to look at. You have negative space which is good for, open body language. If you're framing someone up like how we were at the meetup and we were aiming them up and we had the sky behind her, maybe you have a lot of open space in the sky, you want them to take up more space, right, in that sky, to be able to, you want to get it's open for that body language. You can have their arms open, their body open. It could be open because they can take up that extra negative space, right? Low angles, grounded, confident poses. These are poses that kind of like more so businessy. I keep saying fitness and business because I literally just finished a fitness branding shoot today for Gymshark. So that was really cool. That was really fun. And I had them doing certain poses where I had a low angle and I had them showing their lats and traps, looking off to their side, things of that nature. Also keep in mind whenever you're doing these types of poses, when it comes to low angles and poses that create that grounded confidence, keep in mind how the person looks to their profile. If you're doing a lower pose, you want to make sure that their head or face is tilted a specific way to where it doesn't look weird in your frame, because it's really easy for them to look weird. It's really easy for their faces to look, kind of off, if that makes sense. So just keep in mind when you are doing these lower poses that their faces, like, don't look awkward in your frame. Like, keep their head leveled, keep their head up. Don't create a crick in the neck. Don't create extra, meat, extra flaps, things of that nature. And also, if you're doing a shot from the back or from behind someone, try not to make them actually try to look at you, because it's very, very unflattering. Maybe just turn their head to the side so they could just gaze off to the side, rather than trying to make them actually look back and down at you, because you're doing a down angle up from them from behind, and it's like they're gonna break their neck, bro. And it just creates a whole bunch of rolls, and it's very unflattering. I just threw it out there because I did a shot like that today on purpose so I could show y'all. But yeah, so I can't show you those yet because those images are licensed. Because yeah. Low angle, I already talked about that. Higher angle is more so you will use a lighter and softer pose. So the same way how we ran 3-3-3, when you find your composition, you find your framing, you find the kind of shot that you want to get, then comes the pose that you choose to go with it, or vice versa. Maybe you already have a pose that your client wants to do and it's a soft vibe and it's a more wholesome vibe, then you will reverse engineer this. So you will do that lighter pose, right? You will find, oops, sorry guys. I'm trying to draw in here, it's not letting me draw. It's not even letting me draw. Nope. I can't draw in here. It's not letting me draw. It's not letting me draw. It's not letting me draw. Nope. Hold on, gang. You're gonna let me draw today. I'm gonna draw today. Bet. So for example, if you have a more, lighter and softer a more lighter and softer pose that your client wants to do, maybe they show you the image. Maybe they're like, oh my God, I want to see this pose, or I'm going to recreate this pose. You as the photographer, maybe you're the type of photographer that allows your clients to bring you the poses, whether if they do or don't. A lot of the times clients will bring the pose. They might, I want to try this because I saw it on Pinterest. If you see that it's a pose that's more so light, yes, they already have an angle that that photographer shot it at from Pinterest, but you can try something different for yourself. Maybe you try a higher angle match with this lighter or softer pose. Maybe you try a medium or low. Maybe you add your composition and framing to that to convey that feeling of that pose. If this is a more so confident pose and they show you, oh yeah, I want to do one like this, and it's a straight on shot, maybe you change your angle. Maybe you go lower to match that confident pose better, to get that higher angle of them. To get that lower angle of them, to be able to have them looking larger than life, right? So maybe you do these things. You can reverse engineer this. So this arrow does go one way, but you can reverse the arrow to make it go backwards too. Maybe you find the pose type first, and then what kind of angle to use. Maybe you find the 3-3-3, whichever one of those you want to use first, a tight shot, wide shot, medium shot first, and then you find out what pose you want to use. So it's really however you see yourself doing for the photo shoot, based off of what you end up using, what you end up choosing. So if I know that I want to do a larger than life shoot, oh my God, I got an idea. I want to do a larger than life shoot. I want her to have some big boots, and I want those boots to be bigger than her head, and I want her shoe to be in the camera. Or if I want those things, what are things that I'm going to need? I'm going to need a wide lens, right? I'm going to do wide shots, probably more so. If I said the words larger than life, right? When I said the word larger than life, what does that mean? I need to do low angles. I want her to feel larger than life. I need low angles. If I said I want boot in the face of the lens, I already have these things in mind. So now I know, okay, what things am I going to use? What things am I going to use before picking the pose, right? So these are just little things that you can use and keep in mind before choosing your pose. Before choosing the idea, the pose, whether you are using Pinterest, because I do recommend doing that when you're first starting out, is using Pinterest to match the ideas and to create your poses, because you can always blend poses together, match two together, and different things like that. But once again, my favorite one is still versus movement. I'm about to get into why, but these are all the different ones that you can choose from right here. Still versus movement, open versus closed, relaxed versus tense, soft versus strong. All right, we have bad posing versus misaligned posing, and a lot of the time misaligned posing is your fault, right? And the way that I like to say it is like if a pose doesn't come out good, I blame myself. You know, I'm not gonna blame my client. I'm 1,000% blaming myself. Hold on, look at my pen. I'm 1,000% blaming myself, right? So it's not a bad pose, it's just captured in the wrong context or captured in the wrong frame, right? Maybe you have a wrong camera angle, maybe you have the wrong crop, maybe you have the wrong distance, maybe you have the wrong intention, maybe you have the wrong energy in the frame, maybe the client doesn't look happy, maybe the client doesn't feel happy, maybe the vibe in the studio is off. These are all things that kind of go into the direction form. So this point right here, back from what I'm teaching, is if you're someone, not even if you're someone, is finding the poses and now how to apply these poses to your clients, right? That's basically where we're at right now. Is you already have poses ideas on Pinterest. We're going to get into making the poses in a minute. But the idea right now is for the person that has poses already in Pinterest, or your client brought you poses, you have pose ideas, whatever it is, but oh my God, they're just not working for that client. This is for that person, because the easiest thing for you to do, which is what everybody pretty sure is doing, is finding photos on Pinterest, finding poses on Pinterest, saving them, right? And then trying to recreate them with clients. And then they're like, damn, they don't match. Right? So now this is where your job comes in. They don't match because your frame's probably off. Your camera angle is probably off. You probably have the wrong crop. Maybe you're at the wrong distance. Maybe your intention is off with that shot, right? Maybe it doesn't look flattering on that body type, right? Maybe the shot would look good, you know, if it were on a plus size model versus a petite model. We'll get into that this semester as well. Or the wrong energy in the frame. Maybe it's the wrong facial expression. Maybe she's giving mean mug instead of giving baddie. Maybe she's giving too soft and too vulnerable, but it doesn't match your angle. Maybe you're trying to do a, you know, down angle, how we talked about having it more soft, and, you know, her pose is more so and it doesn't really give soft, right? They're clashing. These are things to keep in mind and look out for when you are, you know, photographing and when you are posing. So most bad poses are actually just problems with your framing. A lot of the time when you guys are like, oh my God, this pose doesn't fit, this person doesn't look right, you probably shot it at the wrong angle. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you shot it straight on and it doesn't look straight on. Maybe it looks better if you change up your angle. So before I change a pose or cancel out a pose, I will change my framing. I will change my angle, and I will try to see what I can curate, create, and change to make it look better on that client. If none of those things work and the pose does not work, now I start to change aspects of the pose before changing the pose, right? You have a client doing a pose. They have their hand up, something like that. Maybe it doesn't look right with their hand right there because her hair slit is on the other side. So maybe you have to flip the whole pose around. There's a lot of different things that you can play around with, because a lot of you guys have talked to me in your one-on-ones, and you guys will pose your clients just like the photo that you see on Pinterest, and it doesn't work, because you try to recreate a stamp of someone who's not that person, right? So the pose that you create, the pose that you may choose before you even get to creating poses, the pose that you choose needs to fit your clients with the right intention, right? With the right reasoning, with the right setting. If it's for a birthday session, you need to have, you know, the right idea, because you know that's what you're going to use. You're probably going to have props as a birthday cake and things of that nature. So make sure that your poses match the occasion, right? You don't want to real unfiltered. You don't want to create a vibe that doesn't match that person, right? They're more so wholesome and soft. Now you got them doing some crazy poses that they don't even feel comfortable doing, right? So I always ask someone their vibe, like, oh, what do you want to give? What do you want to give, right? This comes into my directing, right? Where we're going into next, which is the responsibility as the photographer, right? Posing and directing, not demanding, but posing and directing. I always ask questions. What do you want this photo shoot to give? Like, what is your vibe? What do you want to give? Like, do you want to give, and I give them a list of little things. Like, maybe I say, like, you want to give baddie, like, you want to give soft, you want to give wholesome, you want to give like, what kind of vibe are you feeling? Like, oh, I want to give airy. I want this to be real airy and boom, boom, boom. These are things that I ask the client prior, right? Maybe I'll ask them through text, but majority of the time I ask them right there on the spot, because I've gotten that good to the point where I can do it right on the spot. But if you can't, or you're not there yet, ask them through text message so you can do some studying on these poses so you can find ones that give that vibe. If they say light and airy, you know that it's top angle, right? We just talked about, I just showed y'all soft, right? Different angles, different frameworks that give you softer vibes. So you're gonna be looking for pose inspiration that also shows this light and airy feel, this light and airy sense, this top-down vibe, this vulnerability vibe, this soft vibe. If they want to do a branding session where they want to seem larger than life, like I want to give boss vibes, I want to give baddie boss, things of that nature, okay, boom, we're looking at more so hands crossed. We're looking at more so low angle up. We're looking at straight on. We're not looking at no top down. I'm not really looking at that down angle because it doesn't fit your vibe. It doesn't fit what you want it to give, right? So I always ask questions and start off asking questions to clients because then it clarifies me on what I want to do. Because when they say like, oh, I want to give sexy but not too sexy, okay, boom, I know what kind of poses to give you. If you say I want to give real sexy, then I know what kind of poses to give you. If you say, oh, I don't want to do too much, I know I got on like this and that for my birthday, but I don't really want to do too much because I'm wearing a little boom boom. I don't want to show too much back. Okay, cool. Now I know how to pose you. Communication, especially when posing, is key because you can pose someone incorrectly and you can make the experience uncomfortable, right? You can pose them in a way that they don't feel comfortable posing and you can make the experience uncomfortable. So what you have to first do is open that barrier to communication. But like, so what you wanted to give, you know what I'm saying? Or so what kind of vibe are you feeling for the photo shoot? However your style is, your stilo, or your vibe, whatever it is that you're feeling, that's how you talk to your client. All right. I'm more so funny and quirky with it a little bit. I like to joke around and ask my questions and do a little bounce, things like that. So I can really like, you know, get their feel, get their vibe and see if they bounce off my energy. And then I go from there. And then they let me know a few words of how they want the photos to feel. If I know how you want the photos to feel, I now know how to pose you. I now know what poses to even look up as a photographer. I now know how to research what you want me to do because I know how you want them to feel. I know the vibe that you're going for. If I didn't know the vibe you were going for, I'd be lost, right? I would not know how to pose you. I would not even know what I'm doing. I'd be confused overall, all right? So those are things that you want to make sure that you ask your client so that way you can be in the know and so that way you can know what's going on overall. Because if you don't ask these questions, you're going to give them a pose that they're probably not comfortable doing or that's weird or something like that, and then they're going to give you a bad review, and you probably didn't even have the intention to doing that, right? So that's the whole thing. You want to be able to keep that in the back of your mind, bro. The whole goal here is keeping communication open and making sure that your client is comfortable. And especially when posing, this is one of the most like things that like can go left really, really fast, especially if you're a male photographer, bro. All right? Because protect your image, gang. Protect your image. So keep that in mind. Posing, you're directing. You're not giving demands. Protect your image. Don't give demands, all right? Clients do not know what to do with their bodies. They don't know what they're doing. They're not models, right? So that's the thing you got to keep in mind when you're posing them. They're not models, so they're not gonna know. Especially even if they are a model, they do know. I treat every client like they have no idea what they're doing. I treat every single client as if they have no idea what they're doing. So every time that we are posing or I'm about to pose you or whatever, I'm treating you like you don't know what you're doing. So I'm gonna pose you. I'm gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna do the pose before telling you what to do. So that way we can, get a vibe going, get a feel. So now you get comfortable in it. So now I can give you the pose that you want, or we can get the shots that you want, and you just overall create a vibe. You got to have those like starters that get into there. Casper's going crazy right now. I don't know what he's doing. He's playing with a rose. I don't even know what he kind of has a rose petal. All right. Silence makes it very awkward. I want to throw that in there too. This all goes into your responsibility as a photographer. Make sure it's not silent. Silence definitely makes it very, very awkward because when there's nothing going on, there's nothing to break that silence. It kind of like it creates that uncomfortability aspect in the client because you're doing a bad job at directing, right? You're doing a bad job at communicating. It's like you're looking like, oh, I'm not doing a bad job. I didn't even do anything. That's the point. You need to be doing something. You need to be speaking. You need to bridge the gap between that. Maybe you're in the studio and you play music while you're setting up. Maybe you're setting up, you're bridging the gap of that silence because silence makes it awkward. Silence makes clients not come back, right? Bridging that gap, communicating. That was a really, really big thing that I noticed at the PNG workshop with a lot of people during the shoots. Like, I would tell them, like, make sure you're communicating, and they'll start communicating a little bit and they would stop. They'll start a little bit and they'll stop, and I'll put them out there in the field, make y'all go shoot somebody, right? But when they were there shooting, boom, boom, and then they would stop talking. They would start talking a little bit and stop talking. So another thing, as the entire time, you can constantly adjust. A lot of you guys are like, oh, well, what do I even say if the shot already looks good? Cool, say the shot looks good. That's another reason why I count down 3, 2, 1. Like, when I count down 3, 2, 1, y'all are like, bro, you're crazy, bro. Why are you counting so much? Blah, blah. Because one, When I say 3, 2, 1, it's a really good form of direction because it lets the client know what's coming, right? And I could shoot on 2. I don't even got to shoot on 1. I can catch them when they're almost ready, so that way they don't have a fully posed feel, right? I go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and then they know the shot is coming, so the client majority of the time knows not to blink. If I'm counting them down, then they know, oh, 3, 2, 1, okay, bet. And it's bridging the gap between the silence, right? So they know 3, 2, 1, a shot's coming. 3, 2, 1, a shot's coming. 3, 2, 1, a shot's coming. So they know what to expect. And I feel like that helps bridge that gap. And I've just gotten so accustomed to saying it so much where I use it for every single shoot now. Clear direction builds confidence. Clear direction, just even if it's micro adjustments and you don't even know what you're doing at the time, but you're trying to make a shot up, micro adjustments. Oh yeah, put your hand there. Like if you know that their hair is out of place, help them or tell them like, oh, can you move that down? But like tell them what's wrong, bro. They might have something in their hair. They might have different things like that. That also shows them that you pay attention to detail, and this also goes deeper into your directing bag and being a good director, right? And being a good communicator overall, right? If their hand looks kind of weird in a certain space, maybe they're leaning it against something and it just looks awkward, or their nails are not facing you and they're facing away from you. Maybe you want to face them towards you. Just pay attention to the details and look at all things while shooting at the same time. All right. Boom, boom, boom. The energy definitely transfers from the photographer to the subject. I always make sure to try to keep my energy as high as possible. You go into a shoot, you may be frustrated. There might be a lot of stuff that went on, before. You might have a lot of life shit going on. But for me, at least, I know when I pick up my camera, all my problems go away, man. And I think that like explains why I'm so passionate as I am, bro. Like, when I pick up the camera, all my problems go away. So I'm able to give my clients that energy. I'm able to transfer that vibe to my clients, right? So that's what I feel like is keeping your vibe high. When you come in with a smile, you come in with a vibe, you're ready to shoot, you're excited, you have passion behind PNG, passion, no gatekeeping. If you have passion behind your work, the client is able to feel that. And when they're able to feel that, they get an even better, feel for you. They get an even better vibe for you. They get an even better, experience from you. So now they're going to, indirectly and directly give you a better review, bro, overall, because you're making them feel something. You're making them remember something. They're going to remember how good you were at talking, how good you were at posing, the energy that you had. Like, oh my God, his energy is just, yes, girl. Like, all stuff like that. Just being able to have that energy and not being weird, not being awkward, trying your best to make them feel as if they're a cousin, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? This all goes into that direction. And that's the thing that makes them, trust you to be able to come back again and again and again, right? So like I told you guys in the last slide, fix the frame first and then adjust the pose after. When you fix the frame first, fix your framing and composition because it might be your fault, right? And if it's not, then if it's not your framing, your frame looks good, then fix something in your frame. If you look at the frame and her hand on her head looks kind of awkward and off, you need to go ahead and tell her to close them fingers. Move that hand in. Something that just like pay attention to those details. The same way how we talked about 333, bro. It's the same thing, but not with posing, right? So what makes a solid pose plus my process, overall, these are things that I look for in a good pose. I want to make sure that my pose feels intentional. I want to make sure that my pose does not look forced because a lot of times if you can see it on their face, bro, like you give them a pose and it just don't look like it's supposed to be on them. Like it don't look like they're supposed to be doing that pose. Like that is what I can say for sure. You know what I'm saying? So like you gotta like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that everything is intentional. Make sure that it doesn't feel forced, and make sure that the body has a clear shape, or you can see, the clear aspects of the body. For example, if they're trying to show curves, why are you gonna cover their curves? You see what I'm saying? If they're trying to show their hair looking fluffy, why would they cover their hair? If they're trying to make their hair, stand out, why would they put their hand on top of their hair? It's just a whole bunch of little things you got to kind of like think about for yourself, and think about how the image is supposed to look before adjusting a pose. So these are things that I think about when solid poses. Also, what helps as a photographer is knowing how things work. Yes, you may be a male photographer, doesn't matter. Knowing how things work, like knowing how a lace is supposed to look, knowing how an arm is supposed to look, how is a dress supposed to look, how is a shirt supposed to look. Knowing these different things can also help with a pose as well, because this also helps you with your directing as a photographer. Because if you don't know how things are supposed to look, then you don't really know what details to look out for or what to tell them to change or fix. You don't know, right? If you're a real estate photographer and you don't know what to tell the real estate agent how to fix on their suit because you don't know how a tie is supposed to look, then what, you know what I'm saying? Like that give you take points away. You lose XP points for that because in my mind, you're supposed to know that as the photographer. All right, I'm just a photographer. I ain't supposed to know how your suit top supposed to look. To me, yes, you are, because you're capturing the image, so everything in your frame needs to look A1, bro. Your frame should not look half-assed. And if you have a client that their wardrobe is not put fully together and you could have fixed it, then it looks half-assed. It's something that you could have fixed in that shot, right? So keeping that in mind. I mean, obviously, like, skin, things like that happen, maybe haircuts, all of that. That's not really your problem, obviously, at that point. But clothing wise, if there's like details or little things that, like, their cufflinks is not all the way down, just things to keep in mind. And that also helps with your form of direction, your form of communication, right? Because when you do this, like I do this for my clients, they notice that you pay attention to details. And when you pay attention to details, they continue to come back and they will continue to work with you, right? So the pose needs to match the frame, the energy needs to match the story, the subject needs to look comfortable but look controlled at the same time. We're going to get deeper into that. Personally, I use the rule of thirds a lot when I'm framing up a pose. Like I showed you guys before, I'm always using the rule of thirds to go through the eyes. I may be putting them on one of the golden rules through the side. Like just different things that I'm doing to help frame that shot using the rule of thirds first. And if they look good on the rule of thirds, or if they don't look good on the rule of thirds, I'm finding out how I can balance them out or how I can make them look better in my shot. So this right here is my unique process, right? I feel like if the pose is bad, then it's my fault. And I always blame myself if the pose is bad or the shot doesn't look good, because I'm the photographer and I should know how to do these things. So Taxi's process, I try to find the client's angle and execute. When I first start shooting, I take multiple test shots, right? I'm taking multiple test shots and I'm talking during these test shots to create a vibe. You see the word V-rate? See, that's one of those typos I was telling y'all last about. So I create a vibe. I try to create a vibe while doing test shots. I'm talking to you, communicating with you. Oh, so how'd you find that about me? While taking the test shots, things like that. Oh, no, these are just testers. Open communication, like not just doing testers without telling your clients that they're testers, because your client's gonna start posing before you even say there's testers, right? So before they even just start doing random stuff, you want to make sure that you can, you get those, you get your tester shots in, or you get your practice shots in, while they themselves, know it. You have to communicate it to them. They don't know that they're testers. They don't think they're the real ones, and then they're gonna look at it and they're like, "Oh, what the hell is this?" So letting them know, communicating overall, just overly communicating. I feel like communicating regular is like a given, but I over communicate. Bruh, I could be changing a camera setting. I'm gonna tell you, I'm about to change my camera setting real quick. I just want to make sure my settings are good first. I'm literally telling you what I'm doing. Like, oh, I'm about to fix this light real quick. Like, I'm overly communicating with you. Like, oh, I'm gonna change this light. I'll make this light come down a little bit more on you. Let's see how this looks. Like, I'm just talking out loud to bridge the gap between the awkwardness, bro. Because there's no music playing, or if it is music playing, it may be awkward silence, right? Maybe awkward silence, and you don't want no silence going on. So I literally just overly communicate and overly describe in detail what I'm doing, right, the entire time. So I'm overly describing, overly giving detail on what I'm doing, right? So I talk during these test shots so I can create a vibe and feel out for the vibe. So I know, like, oh, what kind of, like, while I'm doing these test shots, I'm asking, well, what kind of vibe do you want the shoot to give? What vibe, what feel? This is letting me think in my head while testing the shots, because I already got good at my composition and framing, right? This is someone who's already been practicing their composition and framing, gotten good with that. I'm testing my shot, make sure everything, boom, looks good. All right, cool. While I'm doing that, I'm talking to you about the vibe you want for it. So now I could try to think about, okay, what kind of poses do I have in my head? Like, what have I think about? Stuff like that. Like, what kind of pose did I save? What kind of thing? Like, she wants this vibe, right? So these are things you can do at the shoot or before the shoot. You can ask them for their vibe before the shoot, which I feel like a lot of you guys would probably be better if you're not good on the fly. Like remembering like the different frameworks, 333, stuff like that. If you're not good at remembering that right there on the fly, you're not good at remembering that a high angle gives vulnerability and softness. You're not good at knowing that a low angle gives more so, dominance and, power. If you don't really like remember all the different things of 333, then I would practice. I would not even practice. I would ask them first, and then I would create that deck, that board, whatever it is at home, so that you have more time to be able to, like, not necessarily reply, but get ready and be prepared for that shoot. But I'm at the point where it's like, okay, boom, you give me these ideas. All right, I think real quick in my head. I'm like, okay, bet. I know that these things right here are going to make this look good. Right. So music also creates that experience. It creates that, as a placeholder for no sound, but you have to be careful with your song choice, obviously, because your image is everything, and songs create image. And if you're around a client that's more so conservative and you playing some sexy red, it's not gonna make you look good, right? Or if you're around a client that is a sexy red person and you playing Rod Wave, they're gonna be like, he's crying ass. So usually what I do is be like, hey, what's your song choice? They be like, oh, I don't care, you can play anything. They always say that, and I'd be like, well, I say, what was you playing when you was on the way here? They said, oh, I was playing Mariah. Alexa, play Mariah. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I do it. Play Mariah. That's how I just, and I just go from there. If they ever like don't know what they want to do and things of that nature, right? And I also make sure that before I start my process, I ask them. I will ask my client, if you were to take a selfie right now, if you hold your phone up, what side would you tilt your head to? I always do that. Like before every photo shoot, like what side do you tilt your head to? Left, right, left, right. What are you thinking? And then they'll be like, I more so tell myself to decide, okay, boom. So now I know that this is the side I'm gonna be focusing on. I'm gonna get a little bit of the other side because I want you to be able to see yourself in a different light. Because sometimes a person may think they have a good side. In reality, they might have two good sides, or they might have never seen themselves from a certain angle on that side to be able to like that side yet. So I still make sure to get both, right? I also shoot for the reaction, and I keep the shoot moving at a steady pace. Yes, I spelled that wrong. I was typing fast, just vibe. I make sure I move at a steady pace, and I shoot for the reaction, right? I'm shooting and I'm getting reviews. I'm getting live review on my photos. Like I'm taking the pictures as I'm seeing these angles on the shots. I'm showing them as a review, and I'm shooting for the reaction. If I don't get a reaction that I like, I'm trying again. This also adds to, my sense of direction, of me knowing kind of like, where am I going the right way? Because the client will be like, yeah, that looks good. And like, it doesn't really look good. They'll be like, yeah, that looks good. I'm shooting for that reaction. Like if I don't get like, oh my gosh, I love this. Oh my gosh, yes. I don't get one of those, then like shit, my shoot not really done. I mean, like if your time is up, obviously your shoot's done. But I try my hardest to get that reaction. I try to get that reaction quick, because after you get that reaction, you can start playing around. You can start practicing poses with your client, right? You could get that shot. When they have that reaction, you feel like, okay, boom, now I know I got the shot. I can go ahead and start playing around with different poses, playing around with different things I wanted to do, different ideas and stuff that I haven't done yet that I want to try, right? But you have to get the shot first. I'll shoot for the reaction. I only show the images after I'm comfortable with the pose and the shot. If you're using poses from Pinterest and you have them posing from Pinterest, you guys are like, why the hell you keep talking about Pinterest, bro? This is a class teaching us how to pose. Yes, but I'm starting off with the easiest way to pose a person, which is today talking about taking a pose from Pinterest, matching that person with that pose, and trying to adjust very small things for that client to look better with that pose, so that way it can fit them and their body type and their outfit and their occasion, right? So I make sure I only show the images after I'm comfortable with the pose that I got and comfortable with the shot that I got, right? It's fine. And yeah, okay. A solid pose definitely feels natural, but you also have to make sure that it looks intentional as well. Intentional as in like, where's their attention at? Are they looking at you? Are they looking away? Does it look like it was supposed to be taken, or does it look like a overall off guard? Some off guards look good, but maybe it was like a really bad off guard where they're like half eye open, half eye closed. That adds that intention when taking these photos. Adding on to the taxis process, my extended version, these are steps that I physically take during a live session when posing. Step 1, if the client is awkward, if I'm dealing with an awkward client, I will start them off sitting because they're awkward. So if the client is awkward, I don't think it's bad to be awkward. The word just has negative connotations on it, which is fine. But if the client is awkward, I will start them off by sitting, right? Because if they're sitting, they have something to touch. They don't feel as weird anymore because they're sitting down. They have something to touch. And when I say sitting is not the same as laying or floor, right? I'm going to get to that point. But sitting is like in a chair, on a stool. These are sitting, right? Another thing I want to go as well is if the client is more so comfortable, then I will start them off by standing, right? If the client is comfortable, I will start them off by standing, right? And if they're comfortable, I will start them off by standing. Simply because we've already talked, we've already gotten past that barrier, we've already gotten past that little vibe, we've already created a bit of a vibe, and now that we've done that, I'm able to go ahead and move on to my next steps. All right, boom. If I start off with a client and they're awkward, I have a whole real idea that I take for that. If I start off with a client and they're a comfortable client, like they're comfortable with vibing, talking, boom, 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 maybe it's their second photo shoot, all right, I got a whole different spiel for them, and I'm gonna run through both of those for you, right? Awkward is the client is usually the client that's unprepared. Comfortable is the client that's more so prepared. So just keep those in mind when I run through the two, awkward versus prepared, right? So my step 2 is I have a 3 pose positioning goal, depending on where I start them at. If I started them high, if I started them as someone who is more so comfortable, I would start them off standing. So my first goal is to get a high shot, high sitting poses, right? High positioning poses is what I mean to say, sorry. Mid positioning poses and low positioning poses. You guys are seeing what? This connects to 3-3 again, right? Crazy. High positioning poses, which means standing. Mid positioning poses, which would be sitting. Low positioning poses would be laying or a floor position, right? I do this with every single client. I get these 3 things out of the way with every client. If the client is an awkward client and they start off sitting, I will go from sitting, right, which is a mid pose. Then I will go to standing, which is a high pose. Then I will go to laying on the floor, or laying / floor positioning, right? And each of these positions, each of these poses that I may have, I will run a 3-3-3 on each of these poses. The same way that you find these poses, if you find them on Pinterest, things like that, these are things to look for when you're planning these shoots or creating a mood board or creating a vibe or just creating a freaking folder or collection for the photos for your client. Right? So when creating a folder, when creating a collection for these photos, you're going to have in mind, I need to make sure that I have, 3 angles that I kind of want to shoot that are from this angle. I have 3 angles that I want to shoot that are from this angle. I have 3 of them that are from this angle. All right. So you want to keep that in mind. All right. TikTok, we're live on YouTube. I'm not talking directly to y'all. Y'all are just listening to me speak to people. So if y'all don't hear the microphone, yes, you're not supposed to hear the microphone. You're supposed to go watch on YouTube. So no, the mic is not connected, but I am live on YouTube. If y'all want some actual real game, go to YouTube and go listen. All right. So I also try to observe the client's wardrobe and their prop selection to know before or after, whether you're at the crib and they're telling you and they're texting you their prop selection, or they're telling you their wardrobe, what it's going to be. I keep that in mind so that way I have that and then I know. And those are things that I focus on to be able to know how I'm going to pose them when the shoot starts. But I also want to, observe while I'm at the shoot, which is how I do it, their prop selection or, their wardrobe. For example, if you're someone who's doing a lifestyle session, then their wardrobe and their prop selection is going to be right then and there. You really can't plan too much if you're about to do a lifestyle session, because whatever they got right there at that moment is what you got to figure out and pose right there at that moment, right? And when I feel like lifestyle is like one of the fastest ways to get better at posing, because you're doing so many of them, you kind of have to come up with stuff on the fly. And it's a 30-minute session, so you're able to pose way quicker, and you're kind of forced to get those poses in and out faster, right? So you got to get it in and out, right? So personally, again, I use the rule of thirds when framing up these different poses. 3-3, right? I'm observing the entire time. Step 3, I'm preparing the client, right? If the client is a prepared client, then I use their pose inspiration to help me start off the posing process. If they're an unprepared client, a new client, or the quote, quote, awkward client, then I will create a pose. Then I will create a pose or have poses in mind as starter poses for this client, right? If I know that for the awkward client, I have to start them out sitting, I'm going to have seated poses that I'm going to have in mind or saved to use with this client, right? Because I know I'm going to have 2 types of clients, bro. You got a client that know what they're doing and a client that don't know what they're doing. That's the only 2. And you got to plan for both of them, because you don't know which one you're going to get, right? So as you continue to get better, you will plan for both of them. Oh, I got a client that know what they're doing. I got a client that don't know what they're doing, and adjust and go through the photo shoot as needed from there, right? So some of the clients will have props. I will use these props heavily because 1, they brought them for a reason, and 2, if possible, bro, use the props as much as you can, because they will make your life easier, because they make the clients more comfortable. They let them touch things. If you got an awkward client and you have no props, you got a hard shoot to do, boy. You know what I'm saying? Because first, they're going to be thinking a lot in their head. They're going to be like, oh my God, does this look good? Does this look bad? But you're going to really have to continue to bridge that gap between communication, because if you're not talking and they're just thinking and they're just speaking in their head and it's their first photo shoot and they don't feel comfortable and they don't have no props, there's a lot of stuff going through their head. You're going to have to really bridge that gap and get really strong in your communication skills to be able to help them, really make it through that photo shoot. Right? So it is very hard to pose a person who's not familiar with photo shoots, and especially people who don't have any props or anything to interact with. Having a prop or something to interact with, even if you were to buy roses off of, Amazon or you were to buy something like that, those are some good examples for things that you have already as the photographer. That would be easy for you to just, boom, if it's a birthday photo shoot, I got these roses, I could just give you these roses right now. You can use them, you can hold them. You got a cake, you have a fake cake, whatever. These are like easy props to have or make for your client to have during a session, right? To be able to make it easy for them to touch, for them to hold, right? And things of that nature. Step 4, I also make sure that I have proper communication and direction. I show them, I don't just tell them. If I see a pose that I'm using from Pinterest, today we're talking about Pinterest poses. We'll talk about creating and how to create poses in a minute. Yes, you're like, damn, why you keep talking about Pinterest? Bro, y'all gotta have background knowledge. You gotta start seeing poses and digesting poses a lot before you are able to start creating your own or start posing the client, right? So from these poses, if you are showing them a pose, I always make sure to show and don't just tell that pose. If I memorize a pose on Pinterest or I have a pose saved on my camera, I told you that hack in one of the last classes. If I have that pose saved, I can look at the pose, memorize the pose, see it. Even if it's on my phone, I'll put my phone real quick for my client, boom, boom. I don't do this no more because I feel like I'm a professional. But if you're starting out, pull out your phone, you look at it real quick. Okay, boom, you got poses in your head. Now you show them the pose on how to do it. You show them by doing the pose, right? Oh, I want something like this. Try something like this. You do the pose for them, and then you adjust. This helps with your image as well because if you're doing it for them, it shows them that you are comfortable within your skin, you're comfortable within your masculinity if you're a man, and that you know what the hell you're doing, right? It gives you those extra XP points as a photographer for someone to trust, right? For someone to want to book, for someone to want to continue to come back to, right? I'm like, oh, bro, Taxi know what he doing. I got to go back to him. Taxi poetry and everything. These are things that I get that people say all the time, right? So show, don't just tell them what to do. Even if you're doing headshots, if you're doing real estate, if you're doing branding, if you're doing paparazzi, show them the vibe that you're saying, like show them what you're doing, like what are the things, like how do you want them to be, like show them and exaggerate the pose the same way that you want them to exaggerate it, because if you're able to do it, then they're able to do it. And if you're confident while doing it, they're going to be more comfortable with you while doing it. If you're like real weird with it, then like, bro, they're not going to feel as comfortable. You have to be confident in yourself. And the best way to do this is posing by yourself. I used to pose in the mirror. I still do it to this damn day. I do pose in the studio by myself, like looking in the mirror, like just looking at the different vibes, because it helps you get comfortable within yourself. Like posing is like a muscle. Like the same way that it takes you to kind of get comfortable creating content or to get comfortable talking on camera, is the same vibe of getting comfortable while posing. Because you got to get past that cringe yourself. Like when you're posing and doing these poses, you got to get past it yourself. You're the first person level of cringe that you got to get past. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be the first person to get past that level of cringe. And if you can't get past cringe within yourself, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get past cringe in front of a photographer, in front of another client, right? So practice obviously makes perfect, right? Things that I will do as well. Like this is a tip right here, literally up top. Have pre-created Pinterest boards for each photo shoot type and position for you to learn and memorize. What I would do when first starting out, and I would still do this, but for different shoots that I don't know, I treat every photo shoot like an exam, right? I treat every photo shoot as if it's a test, as if I got high stakes, right? I'm doing a birthday session. I'm going to save as many birthday poses as possible. And I'm going to study those either the night before or the week leading up, studying them, keeping them, like keep looking at them, scrolling through them, treating Pinterest like it's Instagram. You doom scroll Instagram, cool. Doom scroll Pinterest the same way you do, and create them different boards and save those poses in different folders and on different pins, right? Because now you have birthday poses. You got 3 people poses. You got mom, you got couples poses, right? You got group poses. You have branding poses. You have all different types of poses that you start to fit where you feel like they go. And now each night you're studying these poses before your shoot, so that way you have them in the back of your mind. If you're doing a birthday, don't study all the poses in the world. Study birthday specific poses. So now when it comes time for you to go with a shoot, treat yourself like you're at a test. Oh, this is my test. How many poses can I actually remember? Like how many poses, like from what I studied, this is my time. This is my time to try it. How many poses did I remember? How many poses do I know how to do off the dribble, off the rip by myself? Right? Without looking at my phone. Like how many times do I have to look at my phone? I created challenges for myself, bro. Like I'm gonna try not to look at my phone at all today at this photo shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like just little things like that, like to help you, to let you know. Somebody asked, why is looking at your phone unprofessional? If you're at a job, you work for a Fortune 500 company and your boss is in the room and you pull out your phone while he's talking or while he's in your presence, it's like a bit unprofessional, right? A bit, but I ain't gonna lie, I said the word a bit, but that's giving it grace. After you get to a certain level in photography, like having your iPad out, maybe your iPad out has the board up, whatever, that looks a lot better, but it's like the image to your client. Like if your client's sitting in front of you waiting and you got your phone out and you're just like this, it just doesn't look right. Like the experience, there's a lot of empty space right there. There's a lot of non-talking. There's a lot of like because you're trying to look for something, right? And they're gonna go run and go look for their phone. Now you just wasted time. Now you're wasting the client's time. So the mindset is you're on your client's time. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just open on the ground, I mean, if it's just open on the ground, you're not taking away. You're not just taking away their time, because the majority of the time your client does that too. Your client will have their phone open on the ground to a pose that they're using or whatever. But I mean, obviously that makes sense. If you guys already have the pose, or you have a pose that you're actually showing them, then yes. But if you're on your phone scrolling and not, it looks like you're not prepared, right? If you have a Pinterest board already saved, if you have some files or folders or a folder of poses saved already, and you're in there and you're diving, and what you're on your device for is for that, and that's what you're showing, that's what you're presenting to them, it makes sense. But if you're on your phone and you're scouring and you're looking for the stuff right there in front of them, it doesn't look right, because you look unprepared, right? I told you guys your image is everything. You want to look prepared and be prepared, right? So you don't want to pull up to a photo shoot and you're not prepared and you don't look prepared, because now your client's going to look at you looking crazy, right? All right. So if you're gonna do it and you're gonna pull up, I got these poses, bro. You're gonna look at these poses. I got these poses for you, boom, boom, whatever. Then you can do it like that until you get comfortable or confident enough in being able to pose them yourselves. This is a tactic that you can use to get better at the posing. I still try not to show the client Pinterest. Like if the client shows me Pinterest, it's cool, but I'm not saying that I got no beef with Pinterest. I don't. I just feel like it's cooler when you don't just pull out the phone and be like, oh, do this. Like just imagine, like, oh, do this right here. You know what I'm saying? Like it helps for you until you get comfortable or confident enough in doing it yourself. But I'd be like, oh, I got this one cool pose. Okay, bet. Like, or I could do it. I could show you how to do it. I can show you like how it's supposed to look. And then if it doesn't look right on me, or you can't fully replicate it, okay, it makes sense. I'm gonna show you the pose. But I'm trying to create that experience while we're shooting. Because if every single time I come up with a pose, you can replace me. Like every single time, like I can't come up with a pose. I'm looking at Pinterest and I'm showing you Pinterest. Oh, like try this pose now. Oh, all right, bet. Let's try this one now. Oh, bet. All right, let's try this one now. Oh, bet. Let's try this one now. I literally just click a button. That's just how I look at it. It's like that's how I look at it. I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know to some people, but at that point, I just click a button. At that point, my job is just to click a button, right? I'm quite literally just reduplicating and doing exactly what the person did on Pinterest, and I didn't add no flair to it. I didn't add no vibe. I didn't create an experience for my client, right? And I don't want to just be a photographer that clicks a button. I want to be a photographer that creates an experience for you. Like, oh my God, Taxi posed me. He helped me figure out the pose and made it fit to me. Like, even if you show it to them and they're looking at it, they try to do it, and then now you start adjusting. Maybe you make adjustments on that pose to make it fit that client, to make it fit their look, to make it fit their style, to make it fit their vibe, or even make it fit their scenery or their setting. You know what I'm saying? Or their occasion or concept. Things like that also help create that extra vibe for the client as well. So, one of my favorites, right? Like I told you guys, motion. It was motion versus, let me see, it was movement. I'm going to go right back to y'all. So, still versus movement, right? You guys remember from earlier? Still versus movement. Diving deeper into that still versus movement, we have one of my favorite frameworks that I use every single photo shoot ever. Static versus fluid posing, bro. This right here is my bread and butter. This is how I create poses out of Pinterest poses. This is how I take a pose and I deconstruct the pose to make my own pose, right? We've gotten past the saving. We've gotten past how to save and things of that nature. This is how I create my own pose, how I take a pose and create my own pose from the pose, right? Static posing gives you structure. Fluid posing brings life to that structure. A strong photographer knows how and when to use both. Static posing. Static posing is a pose that is held, very minimal movement, right? Remember I told you guys this is still versus motion. Static is still, motion is fluid. Static posing is a pose that is held, that has minimal movement, that has clear structure, clear body placement, and a high level of control. You use static posing when you're doing a portrait session, a branding session. Maybe it's a fashion editorial. Maybe it has to look a certain way, or it has to have a certain form of posing or framing with it, right? When you want precision and you want to get something to look exactly how you want. Maybe you have a shot in the exact image, or what has to look exactly like this. That's the best time to use static posing, right? Static posing creates clean lines. It helps it feel more powerful, more intentional, and it makes it a lot easier for you to frame because the client's not moving, right? And it gives the image structure. When it comes to static posing, I don't like static posing alone. I do like the pair of the two. We'll get into the second one in a minute. But static posing, I feel like this is where your clients start to lose the pose. You ever have your client posing and they holding a pose for too long trying to get a shot, and their face starts to drop? They're smiling, and like after 3 seconds, their smile just starts to continue to drop. This is that static posing, and this is one of those downsides of static posing. You put them into a pose, they're holding this complicated ass pose for a long time, and then like all the features just start to sink and drop, and it doesn't look as good as it did when they first started, right? So one thing I like to do is I like to be fluid. Even within like these static poses, you get fluid poses, because you can use this same exact framework for portraits and branding. Just because it says that, static posing is best for portraits and branding, you can still add fluid to it. So what is fluid posing? Fluid posing is when you pose through a movement, right? This is how you get candid shots. A lot of the time when you're doing a lifestyle session, or if you're doing a lifestyle paparazzi, when you're catching them while they're moving, that's a fluid pose, right? That's a fully fluid pose, right? I love the combination between the two. I'm gonna get there. You're posing through movement. You're doing very, very small actions instead of fully freezing. A static pose is fully frozen, fully freezed, right? Just like Florida right now. It's a natural transition between poses. Maybe you move, maybe you're shifting weight, maybe you're doing a little different thing like that. That is creating that extra fluidness of posing, right? Times to use a fluid pose is when it's a lifestyle image, like I told you guys, storytelling shots, emotional portraits, and when the subject feels a little bit stiff, and when you want natural energy. For example, at the meetup, we had Dage throwing her shoe into the shot. She kicked her foot up, right? That's a fluid pose, right? You need to be able to catch an exaggerative movement that a person physically cannot hold, so that needs a fluid pose. They can't hold that. She kicked her foot up so high, it's like, oh, like you want me to hold that? You can't hold that. You got to be able to do it and retract it. You as the photographer have to catch them in the motion of this, right? This is where that burst motion like that comes into play. So what a fluid pose actually does, it creates that emotion. It helps add life and realism. And it also helps the subject look more relaxed, and it captures, the in-between moments from the start to destination. I like to mix these two together. My favorite is when I use static and fluid posing. My version of static is I will pose the bottom of the subject, right? Every client, brand new client, non-new client, know what they're doing, not know what they're doing. The easiest way is to find, when you find a pose, whether it's on Pinterest or you have an idea for a pose, or based off of their outfit, you have an idea for a pose, posing their bottom first sets down the foundation. And now you can have fun with the top. Trying to pose the entirety of a person's body is one of the hardest things ever, because you're trying to pose too many limbs at once. You as the photographer are getting confused because you don't know what the hell they're supposed to do with their feet, what they're supposed to do with their hands, what they're supposed to do with their chin. You have no idea, right? But the best way to combat this is to split it in half. I'm static with the bottom, I'm fluid with the top. Or I'm fluid with the bottom and I'm static with the top. Why sometimes might I be static with the top? Because maybe the client has a face that looks right to be static with, or has a body movement that looks right to be static with, but they need to just shift that weight. Maybe so that's the bottom. They're shifting from one hip to the other, but they're keeping their face the same, right? So you can split this in half. You can think about it like, damn, this doesn't look right for this client. Maybe I need to add some movement. Maybe I need to add some motion, right? Maybe I need to stop her from moving. Maybe it needs to be fully static. Like she may be moving too much, it don't look right because she's moving too much. Then you probably slow her down, right? Make it more static. I love to split it in half. I will start off with doing a pose where their feet or their legs are still and in one position, one space. And then I would do it to where their upper half is more fluid. Maybe their body is shaped one way and then they're more fluid with the top, or they're doing some movement. They're probably going through their hair. Anything that has to do with movement creates fluidness, all right? Anything that has to do with movement creates fluidness, all right? So on to the next one. Fluid posing is about energy and flow. Static posing is about control and clarity, because you have control over that pose. Posing techniques, man. Oh, y'all love this one. I know y'all gonna love this one. Techniques that I use when posing, I use weight shifting, I use angling the body, leading lines, but with the body. Like, how can they lead? Like, if you put the fingers to your face, these leading lines all go to your face. Your hands go to your face. They're pointing to your face. Maybe you're framing. I use framing as well. Maybe they're framing their face, things like that nature. I use I use control over their hands, their fingers, kind of the same as like way, maybe frame, but using it to frame their face, things of that nature. Head position, chin position, asymmetry, like not wanting it to be too perfect, like in straight on. Maybe I'm adding a little bit of depth, maybe just turning and looking off to the side like that. Like, I turn faces, I turn bodies, things of this nature. These are different posing techniques. And then I also add little micro movements. Sometimes you don't need a full movement. Sometimes you don't need a full turn. Maybe you tell your client to turn their head to the left. They turn their head too much. You probably need a micro turn, just a little bit, because sometimes something too much of a movement can be too exaggerated, right? So when it comes to weight shifting this weight from one leg to the other, maybe it's one hip or the other leg. Maybe they don't look as candid as they could if they shifted their weight. Maybe the pose looks okay, but something's off about the bottom. Try shifting the weight. Right? It creates natural curves, creates natural balance, and it prevents stiff and straight up posture. Sometimes you want it to be more fluid, so shifting that weight makes it look a little bit more, smooth and more flowy within that pose, right? And it stops them from looking so stiff and straight up because they're in motion, they're fluid with it, right? Thank you for the roses, man. So the other thing is angling their body, right? So you can turn their shoulders, turn their hips slightly away from the camera. So you can turn their shoulders away from the camera, like I like to do with my client. Like, my client's framed up sideways to me, looking like me like this. Maybe they need to open their torso towards me just a little bit, and it might look a little bit more a little better framed up. Maybe they're too much. Maybe I just need to move their shoulders, right? So that's what I'll tell them: just move your torso, or turn your torso towards me, or I'll do it so they know. Because sometimes you use the word torso, people just turn their whole body because they don't really know what a torso is fully. So I'll be like, turn your torso. They'll turn their torso. But okay, leave your body, leave your shoulders facing this way, but just turn your hips. So they'll turn their hips. Leave your shoulders facing that way, but turn their hips. So maybe that looks better. So these are things that kind of keep in mind. So angling the body, turning your shoulders, turning your hips away from the camera or towards the camera. This adds that depth. This adds dimension, because sometimes if you're looking straight at the camera, you're too straight on. This is good for branding and, clothing brands, stuff like that, but it might not be good for a birthday shoot. Maybe they're not wanting to just be straight on looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they just add a little bit of depth to the side. This is really good with guys as well. We're trying to add more dimension. You want them to look bigger. Want to get some more size to them. Turn them to the side just a little bit so you can see a little bit of their lats, see a little bit of their back, things of that nature, rather than them being straight on, right? Avoids passport style poses simply because it's a 2D pose. If you're doing straight on, it's a 2D pose. There's no depth, no dimension. Even just a little head tilt could add some depth, could add some dimension, because you see different layers within the face. Now you guys are trying to see how everything matches up: foreground, middle ground, background. I'll literally just add a little bit. I'm straight ahead at the camera. You only see the foreground, like you only see the subject, and there's a white background, ain't nothing else back there. If I turn a little bit, now there's foreground, middle ground, background in the subject. Maybe my face is my foreground, maybe my shoulder is my foreground, maybe my face is not middle ground, maybe my chin is the middle ground. Then behind, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different layers now because you see it on my face versus if I was facing directly straight at you. There's literally only one layer that you see everything. So it helps add that extra dimension in there. Leading lines within the body, like I told you guys, I use arms, legs, posture, and everything to guide the eye towards the way. Maybe it's, their hands going up towards their face. Maybe it's different things like, you posing just like this. You got even their thumbs like, man, you're funny. You know what I'm saying? Pointing, just different leading lines that kind of point or lead your face towards the subject. It just helps me direct this attention to their face, because I love using. People have really nice nails. That helps me out a lot. Like I told you guys, detail shots, you know what I'm saying? Medium shots, things of that nature. When I'm doing shots like that, I like to pose them in ways that complement that frame, right? So if they're touching on their face, maybe I'll frame their face as a detailed shot, because now these leading lines of the hand are all pointing toward the face. The knuckles and everything are pointing towards the face, right? I'm going to show y'all something. Just vibe. I'm going to show you the same image that we saw last class, so that way you guys can break them apart. So hands and fingers control, ideas of having their hands relaxed, never having their hands too stiff, just having it very lightly, especially if it's a woman and we're posing together or they're doing some type of pose. Everything needs to be very light and feminine with it. When it's more so a man, it'll be a lot more stronger, a lot more stiff, a lot more vibed, a lot more, how they be doing this little thing right here. Everything's more straight. Nothing's as soft, right? It's not as feminine. It's more masculine poses, right? Head positioning, also chin control. Chin control is a big one because if you don't get their chin right, they may get a double chin. You got to keep that in mind, especially for you headshot photographers. Double chin, angles, because sometimes their chin might look in the right spot, but like I told you guys at the beginning of class, it could be your framing that's off at that point, right? Maybe it's your framing that's off. And if your framing is good, maybe it's their pose that's off. Maybe they need to lift their head up a little bit more. Maybe they need to lift their head down a little bit more, looking like a turtle. Yep. Chin forward, down. Chin forward and down gives that stronger jawline. It prevents that double chin, and it also prevents that awkward angle depending on how you're shooting as a photographer, right? So you want to avoid those things. For asymmetry, I always avoid perfect symmetry because I want more depth. The same way I told you guys, like, angling the body away from it, it adds that extra depth and it doesn't make it so symmetrical to where it just looks like a flat image, right? It feels more natural, feels more dynamic because you have more depth. Micro movements, small movements instead of doing over exaggerated movements or instead of freezing the frame. I like to make them move just a little bit rather than making them move so far. Rather than move so far from the movement. Because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, hold it right there, move your hand a little bit to the right, and my client will move their hand fully. And I'm like, bro, just like go back and I'll move it down a little bit, because maybe it didn't look good right here, but maybe it looks good right here. Maybe it doesn't look good right here, and it looks good right here. Like there might be a very, very small box that this hand needs to move between in order for it to look good, rather than you moving the hand fully. And now you got a whole different pose you got to put together. So maybe sometimes the pose just needs one thing needs to move to make the overall image look good, right? That's what I'm going to say at the bottom. So I don't memorize poses. I adjust the technique until it feels right. So if I already have a pose in mind that I have them doing, I adjust certain techniques to be able to make it fit their body type and their occasion. So touch, feel, space. Oh, I use this for every single shoot. This is my go-to posing trick, especially for non-models because they don't even know what they're doing, right? So touch is what are they touching? Their clothing, jacket, shirt, collar, sleeves, their hair, their face. They could do very lightly, no gripping, no grabbing too hard, right? Props, chair, wall, rail, bag. Right? Body placement, hands on the hip, arms across the body. What are they touching? Are they feeling on their body? Are they touching? Like, what are they touching? Like, where's their hand at? Give them something to touch. Is it a prop? Is it their clothes? Is it their shoes? Give their ass something to touch, right? Why does this work? Because when you give a subject something to do, it eliminates the awkwardness. It eliminates awkward hands. It's probably the biggest thing here. Like, eliminates them awkward hands, and it creates intention in the shot because now they got their hands in their pocket. They're touching their pockets. You know what they're touching now? Touching their pockets, right? The next thing is, what are they feeling, right? Touch, feel, then space. You add these two together. 3-3 once again, bro. I got 3-3 for posing, 3-3 for composition, and a 3-3 for like. I run 3-3 for everything, bro. I don't know. I think my brain just works in threes. So you have touch, you have feel, you have space. Feel. What are they feeling? Are they feeling the fabric? Is their hand feeling on their hair? Is the hair down right here and they're rubbing their hair down? Like, what is it? Feel. Feel creates fluid poses, by the way. So if you have that touch, you already know what they're touching on one hand. Maybe one hand's touching the hair, and then the other hand's maybe feeling down the other side. You have feel, so you still have a form of fluidness in that pose. You have touch, you have feel. You add those together, right? Feeling, they could be feeling the fabric, wind in the hair, feeling their posture in the pose. Maybe they're feeling their curves, things of that nature, right? Maybe they're feeling themselves in the moment. Maybe their hands are going up, going down. Maybe it's like their hair. Maybe it's like, whoa, whatever. What are they feeling, right? Then number 3, well, I'm going to jump to that in a minute. Hold on. The reason that this works is because movement plus, I just told y'all, movement plus feeling things makes it fluid, right? It creates fluidity, which is what Google said. I was looking up like what the word fluidity mean. Like I said fluid space, and then fluid space didn't make sense. It said use the word fluidity, so I copied and pasted the word fluidity. It stops clients from holding the pose too long, so it stops them from being so static, right? And it also, it stops them from being static, and it doesn't allow for face strain, tension, or a forced expression, because if they're not feeling and they're just touching, then there's a static spot, right? That face might start tweaking out. They may let the pose go. Maybe their arms might tweak out. If you have a client doing bicep poses like Dapper do, right? Their bicep might start tweaking out. They might start falling and losing the bicep, and they got to reflex again to re-up themselves. So that's why it's always good to get a person in the motion, in the movement, rather than making them hold it, and things of that nature. right? Fields create motion. Space, one of my favorite ones too, is how much space are they taking up. So because when it comes to posing, taking up space is one of the most important parts because you want to fill a frame, or you want to fill a frame based on the feeling of the shoot, right? So space, how much space are they taking up? When it's an open, when the body is more so open, you're opening up to the energy, right? When the body is more so closed, it's more reserved and more intimate energy. Like I'll tell you guys, you want to do a wholesome shoot, you're doing an angle down, wholesome session, right? They might probably be closed up, right? They're probably like filling on themselves, setting on themselves, more light, more airy. These poses make sense for those type of shoots, right? But if you're doing a shoot where it's like for a real estate agent, they're more open. They're open. They got their hands like that, chest open, body open, right? Maybe they're not turned away from you, they're to you, but more so wholesome and closed off. They're closed and they're turned away from you, right? I mean, things like that. Just kind of keep those in mind because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen these types of poses, but didn't understand why they felt the way they did or what made them work, right? This also space also helps a company how they fill the frame and how they fill the overall environment, right? The reason that this works is because space controls the emotion of the image. It feels more so bold because they're taking up a lot of space. They feel important. They're taking up more space. It makes them feel more important, right? And if they take up less space, it can make it feel more calm and more wholesome because they're more closed off. Maybe it makes them feel, maybe it gives off a sad vibe. Maybe it gives off a more so, a quiet vibe, a cold vibe, and things of that nature because it's more so closed off, right? If your client does not know how to pose, then give them something to touch, give them something to feel, and then tell them how much space they need to take up. This is a great way of directing them. Touch. What am I touching? They don't know what to touch. They don't even know what to do with their hands. You're touching your hat. All right, bet. Well, how am I touching my hat? Oh, touching the front of your hat. Okay, bet. What are you feeling? Oh, I don't really, there's probably nothing to feel right now. Is there anything to feel? Maybe you're feeling the brim. Maybe it's in the moment. Maybe it's the moment in the brim. Oh, I'm feeling my hat. Okay, maybe it's the moment in the brim. All right, I got to feel. I just added some motion to there, right? Then it's space. How much space will take it up? Oh, do I have my elbow out or my elbow in? Oh, bro, have your elbow out a little bit. Oh, that's too far out. A little bit in. All right, bet. That's the space. All right, yeah, so go from this side of your rim to that side. Same thing with my clients. I literally tell them to go from your knee to your side. Instead of having my client go like this is a static pose, my worst pose. I hate this pose. I don't like when any of my clients do this pose. This right here, terrible pose. Hate it, right? So instead of doing this, I'll have them start at their knee and bring your arm up and go to the position, right? So instead of me capturing you in it, I don't like this pose. I'm gonna capture you getting to the pose. So I'm gonna touch, feel space. Touch your knee, feel up your thigh, take up enough space for your elbow to be out. Maybe take up a little bit less space, depending on how the person looks and how they're built. Right? Most clients mess up poses because they're holding them for too long. They're being too static. Static is good to an extent. I feel like sometimes people overuse it because you want to get the shot and you don't allow your client to move, or you don't even know how to, control your camera enough to be able to capture them in fluid motion. That's why I always keep my shutter at 250. I'll be like, why the hell you at 250? That's the majority of the time. Why? Because they move and a hair follicle move, and I'm able to capture that hair follicle, right? Things of that nature. So I don't tell people to pose. I tell them to do something. I tell them to touch something. I tell them to feel something. I tell them to take up space. This is a really good framework to remember when you're posing someone, right? If you look at a pose right now, what are the person touching? What is the person feeling? How much space are they taking up? Are they open or are they closed? Right? And that is how you direct a client on a pose, right? So you look at a pose, you tell them how much pose are they taking. Boom. Yes, of course, these are repeats. I don't care. Look at them. What did I tell her to touch? I posed her. What did I tell her to touch? I told her to touch. I told her to touch. The action of touching is lean on the bar. All right, bad. That's touch. Feel. Oh, take your leg and you're gonna go from your left to your right with your leg. All right, so I had her cross her leg over. Bad. That's feel. Right? Space. How much space she's taking up? Oh, having her elbows out. Versus having her elbows out or having her elbows in. She's taking up a little bit of space. She's not taking a lot of space. She has a little bit of space. Her elbows are out and back, right? Just like so. Same exact vibe here is good. What are you going to be touching? Oh my gosh, you're touching your jacket and you're touching the kettlebell. So those are your props, right? That's touch. How much? What are you feeling? Right here, probably nothing. Probably not really feeling too much. Maybe you can move your head a little bit to the left, something like that. So boom, so your hair can move. Add a little bit of fluidness. All right, and then boom, space. How much space are you taking up? Is your elbow out? Is your elbow closed? I had her pull her elbow back so that way it can kind of go with the body as well. And then I had her put her foot back. I didn't have her put her foot back too far because any further would kind of threw off my composition, right? So touch, feel, space. How much space are you taking up? Not a lot of space. We'll get into points, not today, but we'll get into points in a minute because There's balance inside of poses as well that I'll have you guys look at, and then kind of like Renzo hinted at it as well, which is like S's and triangles. We hinted at that a little bit too. LOL. But yeah, same thing here again. Touching. What is she touching? She has a prop and she has a seat. So that's her touch. She's touching those two things. Okay, bet. Feel. Okay, not really nothing to feel right now. Maybe you could fiddle with it a little bit. Giving someone something, like a lot of the time, giving your client an activity or something to do, brother, the best thing you could do, because then they get occupied and then you can get your settings right or get your shot because they're occupied now. They're in the moment. They're in the motion. All right, touch, feel, and then space. What are you touching? What are you feeling? How much are you taking it up? Is her elbow out? Is her elbow in? Is her leg open? Is her leg closed? Space, right? Different things like that. Once again, I mean, obviously there's two people, touch, feel, space, touching each other. They definitely touch each other, and they're taking up less space. They're in each other's space, physically in each other's space, all in each other's space. And once again, touch, feel, space, touching, feeling, space. I like that's one of the easiest ones that I like. Not easy, but like things that I love to use is touch, feel, space because it kind of like helps frame every type of shoot. Between touch, feel, space, these different posing techniques for weight shifting, I use weight shifting a lot. I use micro movements a lot. I use hand finger control, head position control a lot, and angling. I mean, I use all of these a lot actually. Damn, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Asymmetry, I use in combination with the angle in your body because they kind of go hand in hand. Leading lines, yeah, I use a lot of these. I use all of these a lot for real. Damn, that's probably why I wrote them. And then static and fluid posing. These are my three, LOL. These are my three different things that I use when creating or posing a client, right? So I'll take a base pose that I may find on Pinterest or you may find somewhere else that someone else has done, or a pose that you've seen or a pose you have in your mind that you dreamt about for the longest or something. And then you attach it to one of these. Is that pose static? Is that fluid? What is it, right? And when you're looking at these different poses, you'll be able to tell exactly what's going on. Touch, feel, space, static, fluid. Hold on, I'm about to show y'all. Damn, I just drew. I didn't try to draw. Right. So this one, you could tell that this was a fluid pose. You can tell that she was in motion in this pose because she was moving. This one was more so static. Her whole bottom half wasn't really moving. She moved her leg, but then after that, she was already kind of posed. But her top was fluid because she's moving her head and back. You would really only kind of tell that if you were the photographer, but you can see her kind of hair, how it was like shaped. She's moving. This one she just came up from a if you watch the BTS, then you know. This one she just came up from a squat, not a squat. God dang it, a lunge. There we go. Good job. Boom, boom. This was static, fully static. It was just her face moving because she kept trying to move her hair out of her way. But when you look at pose, you can kind of tell. This one was definitely posed as well. This was static. The only fluid part about that was them kissing. Other than that, their body was the same. Also static. This was static bottom, fluid top. I think all of my poses have the same framework of static bottom, fluid top a lot of the time, unless they're like action shots or they're more so, a branding session. Depending on the type of branding, like if it's fitness branding, then a lot of times it's more so moving, and then like I'll go from fluid to static. I'll have them moving. I'll have them pose. Hold it. All right, continue. Okay, hold it. All right, continue. Static, fluid. But with her, touch, feel, space. You guys can see literally touch. I want you to lean up against the rail. Touch equals, right? I want you to lean up against the rail. That's my direction that I gave her, right? Feel. I want you to go ahead and put your hand like on your stole right there, just like that. Yep, just like that. Space. She had her elbow out, told her to put her elbow in. All right, that's space right there, right? That's good enough space you're taking up. Touch, feel, space right there. Static, the bottom is static. The top is fluid. I could have her move her hand around, probably go through her hair a little bit. Because when you give your client something to touch, something to feel, it occupies them. And it kind of like, we all have brains that need dopamine. So it gives them something to do. It gives them something to think about. It gives them something to focus on while you're figuring your stuff out on your end as the photographer, because you probably didn't get your light together yet, or you did get your light together yet, but they just posed and changed, and now you got to go back down on the lighting or something, right? So it's just like that you got to think about as well when you're running these touch, feel, space. Same thing again for these next ones, right? Touch, feel, space. They asked me, oh my God, what do you want us to do? I didn't know what I wanted her to do. I said, put your hands in here real quick. I didn't really like the hands in your hips, but I said, okay, that's the pose you want to choose. That's fine. I told her to put her hand on her glasses, and I was like, just look down. I wanted them both to look away from each other, but her looking at me actually wasn't that bad, but I wanted both of them to like angle and look away to like create some form of balance between the two. But it was still an overall fire image because she looked at me and she looked away. But it was cool. But touch, feel, space, once again, touching, glasses, feeling themselves, their hands are on them, right? And then space, how much space they're taking up. I balanced them two out, so taking about the same amount of space. Same thing here. For this one, you're cropping it better because I told you guys when we first started this entire, slide deck today, one of the first things was pairing your framing with a pose, right? So if you know a pose that you want to do, you have to be able to think as a photographer what frame fits this pose. I have an idea for a pose, but what frame fits that pose, right? That's where the composition and framing that we learned last semester comes in. How do they fit this pose within that frame? Touch, feel, space, once again. Static and fluid. If you guys watched the tutorial, I even talked about this in that tutorial. Static versus fluid. I usually always break it in half, bro. I'm reminiscing again and remembering, like, I literally had her pose just the bottom and then only move the top, bro. You can watch the video back if you want. Like, literally, I go through your hair and look left and right, and I caught her in motion. This is what 250 shutter speed does, just in case y'all be like, oh, why you use 250? That's why. I don't think I ever use any other shutter speed, bro. 250 my baby. 250 my baby. Touch, feel, space. And this is a fluid pose because she was coming up the stairs physically, and I caught her in motion. This was a static pose. She wasn't moving at all in this one. Another static pose. It was fluid with her head, but her upper top body, everything was posed and stayed the same. Does anybody have any questions? I'm pretty sure y'all do. Somebody had a question earlier today, and I didn't answer it because I wanted to get through the slides. Anybody have a question or want me to go back to anything and fully explain something? That's good. I mean, no questions is great. You know what I'm saying? That means y'all understood everything. Same thing again. Touch, feel, space. Touch, feel, space. Had her lean back on there like it was a wall. Not a wall, but I had her interact with it. So this right here was her prop. The thing in the environment was acting as her physical prop for her to use as something to pose on in her frame. Once again, it's the same type of shot as before. Touch, feel, space. She was pulling up her shirt, which is that feel. Touching, she's touching onto the shirt, yes, but also the dumbbell. And then space, how much space she's taking up. Her elbow is out away from her body, taking up more space. These are more closer shots of that touch, feel, space again. And that static versus fluid. This is a full-fledged static pose. Just had him smile. But space, you can see the space he's taking up as well. Same thing again. Close the body. She had her elbow out, but I made her put her elbow in because I don't want it too far away from her body, so it looks less flattering when it's far away. Touch, feel, space. All of them are touching him. Not gonna lie, that's not probably a weird one right there. More examples. Damn, I did a good damn job, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I be looking at it, I'm like, damn, I really posed everybody, bro. Like, I really gave everybody these, bro. I've done so many damn photo shoots, bro. Shit. And I really posed every single one of them, bro. With documentation. Like, you can go watch these videos back. This is crazy. Wow. I really posed these people. Damn. I really posed them, bro. I'm also not afraid to try shit out, bro. Like, I feel like when you're like getting into the posing where like it's so easy to get like intimidated by poses, but like, bro, like, do not be afraid to try things out. Like, especially if you know that you could create something out of nothing, like, don't be afraid to try something out, because you might not have seen it before, but you can try it out, bro. Like, that's where a lot of my poses come from too, bro. Like, I might have never seen something before, or because I studied so much on Pinterest, right? I did like an hour a day before I go to sleep, because the last thing in my mind when I wanted to get better at posing. Before I have a photo shoot the next day, I'm studying those poses on Pinterest so they're burned into my damn brain. I'm using Pinterest as if it's social media, right? I'm scrolling, I'm saving, I'm scrolling, I'm saving, I'm scrolling, I'm saving. New board, right? Because it's helping me get better at photography, right? Excuse me. So I'm remembering those things, and now when it comes time to shoot, I know exactly what I want to use. I know exactly the ones that I saved, so now I know before the shoot comes, I'm studying. I treated every photo shoot that I had, even if they were back to back, like an exam. Like I had multiple tests. I tested myself more and more, and it helped me get better as a photographer. Right? I try my hardest, especially when it comes to like to posing and photography, to not take the easy way out, which is why I be telling you guys, like, try to put that phone away. Like test yourself to put that phone away, bro. Like just test yourself. Like see what you can do yourself. Like do all the studying before the test. Do all the studying before the exam. Like study. Yes, study. Get all the poses in your head. Get them studied. But then when the exam comes, try to do it without your notes. You know what I'm saying? Like try to do the exam without your notes, bro. Like like I'm not saying you're not gonna always have notes through life, but when you guys get to these big productions, right? And you guys, not saying you want to be at big productions, but when you start doing big stuff, like, damn, I'm sorry, I thought that was probably about to sound like a flex. But when you guys start doing big brand shoots, you're gonna have like very little time with these clients. Like you might do a shoot for Adidas and have 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, and that's treacherous. You know what I'm saying? You might do a shoot for some of these really big athletes or major, people. They will come in and they will already have their makeup done. They will already have their stuff done. They only give you 10 minutes with these people, right? They only give you 10, 15 minutes. You're not getting 30 minutes. You're not getting an hour. You're not getting all this time with these celebrities. Like whether it's a celebrity or not, but these high profile brands, maybe these brands, you're doing a branding session or you're doing a high profile real estate session with a realtor. Their time is money. They're not going to be with you for that long for you to be able to be like, oh yeah, bro, let's go ahead and look at this real quick. Oh yeah, let's make sure that, let me look, hold on, wait, real quick, hold on real quick. All right, hold on. 5 minutes are gone, bro. And to them, you look unprofessional. And I think that maybe that's why I teach the way that I do. Maybe that's why I tell you guys to try to memorize this stuff, to try to get better at it, because it overall will make your image look so much better because you work on the fly. You're able to come up with it. And even if you didn't fully come up with the pose yourself, to your client, it looks like you did, right? To your client, you look more professional. They're going to continue to choose you, continue to come back with you because you didn't pull out no devices. And I've just found this over and over again to keep me consistently booked and to keep me consistently booked on big projects and big campaigns as well, to where it's like they see you as an asset, right? They don't see you as someone who's going to bring, multiple different things of whatever and being like, oh, like this guy's got to make sure he got to put the plan together. He's not prepared. But it just makes it just, I don't know. I feel like from life experience, I feel like this is what the PNG University is all about. Is me teaching you guys exactly what I do. Maybe it's not the way that everyone does it, but exactly what I do, and I feel like will help you streamline your workflow and get better in photography, bro. Because I've done a lot of big shit, bro, and I feel like making yourself undeniable to where you are an asset, right? To where they look at you like, oh my god, bro, ask Taxi what to do. Like, ask Taxi how to pose. I don't know how to pose. Ask him what to do. Taxi, what do you think? To where you become that sense of validation for your client, to where they just ask you, like, oh, what do you think? What do you think? You want your client to ask you, what do you think? You don't want your client to ask you, what do you think? And you get scared, like, oh my God, I don't know how to pose you. So I took so much time, an hour a day, literally, last hour of my day, studying posing, bro. YouTube, Pinterest, mainly Pinterest, bro. Studying these poses, studying how to pose, studying how to talk to people when posing, studying posing communication. I'm going to go through all of that, of course, which is why I'm teaching it to you guys, because I feel like it's so important, bro. Like, because it frames and shapes everything along your photography career. If you don't understand how to talk to people, if you don't understand how to pose people, or you don't understand how to create a an experience, right, through directing and posing, then clients will not come back. They will choose someone over you because they will choose someone who's like, a client will go to a photographer that has worse work than you, right? Because he knows how to talk to them. They'll go to a photographer that doesn't have the caliber of work, or they'll go to a braider. They'll go to a hairstylist, get a haircut. They'll go from a barber because they give them a better experience. Their line might not be as crispy, but that experience wins all the time, right? If I'm going to a photographer who's got all these different stuff and like he needs all these different times for planning, and then he needs to pull out this and needs to set this up, he needs to make sure that he has his papers over here, he needs to make sure that he has this over that, I'm gonna be like, damn, bro, like, are you set up yet? Versus, boom, you come to a shoot with Taxi and it's like, okay, yeah, boom, Taxi got his iPad, only thing he had to set up is his iPad, he got his camera, all right, bet, bruh, and we ready, we shooting. Taxi, what do you think? And I'm able to on the fly tell you exactly what I think, rather than you saying, "Damn, Taxi, I don't have any poses in mind. What do you think?" Oh, let me check my phone real quick. That would take 5 minutes for me finding poses to fit you best when I could have just already been prepared. I could have studied for the exam, right? Study for the exam. If you got a photo shoot Saturday, study for the exam. If you got a photo shoot tomorrow, study for the exam. Study for the exam and test yourself. Like, can I get through this photo shoot without looking at my phone? Can I get through this photo shoot without not even looking at you look at your phone to check the time? Okay, cool, duh. Look at your phone to check for that invoice to go through to get that bread, duh. But check through your phone to like get help on your session. Test yourself, gang. Test yourself, bruh. The whole point of you studying, the whole point of you being in class right now. Study different poses, study different things that can help enhance the experience for your client, right? Posing and directing. Find out what your vibe is. I know that I got a quirky little funny vibe. I like to vibe out. I like to laugh with my clients. I like to make jokes. What is your quirk? What is your vibe? What vibe do you give to your client? Are you overly serious? Maybe that's your vibe. Maybe that's your vibe. And if that's your vibe, take it and run with it and figure out how you can, create a form of communication and a form of comfortability with your clients with your vibe. So find what your vibe is and help your client out within your vibe. All right. Right, that's like that. That's the start. And that's the root to like where comfort even begins to build or become a thing. You got to help your client out within your vibe and figure out who you are and how you talk to people, and now see how are you comfortable, what makes you comfortable, what things can you say, how do you feel, what's your image overall, right? I figured out like I'm not happy-go-lucky. I want you to know I'm passionate about photography. Like any other time you catch me not talking about photography, I'm probably not even talking, gang, for real. I'm probably quiet as hell. We talking about photography? Oh yeah, I'm there. That's how passionate. That's the passion, and my clients are gonna see that passion, and I always show that passion. So those are things to think about. All right. Anybody have any questions before we close class? What are we learning next class? Oh my God. Next class we're gonna be talking about verbal directing. Oh my gosh, how to speak to people, words to say and not to say, especially as a male photographer, because I've made it here by being a good person. All right. I was gonna do like a class like just for male photographers because y'all be pissing me the hell off because y'all be making us look bad. So, not saying y'all isn't y'all, but I'm saying male photographer because some of y'all know what the fuck y'all be doing. But I was going to make one just for them, but it's going to be both so that way everybody knows. You got to protect your image. So, next we're going to talk about directing and how to be verbal and physical because don't be hitting on your damn clients. Collect that check, all right? Collect that check, right? It goes both ways, even for female photographers as well. But I just know that male photographers are more shunned on, and I'm trying to recreate the entire world of male photographers. It's hard, but it starts with direction. It starts with communication, right? And it starts with doing the correct forms of communication and speaking the correct way to your clients and not saying things that may unintentionally offend them because they are paying your bills. Keep that in mind, right? Sometimes if your ass don't get on here and say words out loud, sometimes I have poses lined up, but poses lined up, and my some clients have a hard time understanding or even posing, even after showing them. At that point, do I drop the pose or keep trying? You do micro adjustments, like we said, right? So you show them. That's also why like they'll do the pose. For example, Kenny had the same exact problem, right? Me and him were talking about posing. He had the same exact problem. He will show the client the pose. They'll try to do the pose. They can't replicate it correctly. It doesn't look right. Try to do micro changes. Try to change very small factors within that pose, right? Try to do very micro movements, small movements instead of freezing the pose and having them doing a still pose. Try to add some fluidness to the pose. Try to add a movement or emotion to the pose because when you shoot those, maybe you do pop, 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 pop. You're doing a fast shot, right? Or you're doing a multi-shot, high-speed shot, whatever. I forgot what it's called for right now. But you do burst. There we go. Let's just call it burst. Doing a burst shot to be able to capture most of those different frames of that same movement. They may find one of those in there where they really look good, how they like of that pose because you added movement to it. If it does not look right and they're statically standing or they're not doing any motion, doesn't look right, maybe they need to shift their weight. Try one of these different techniques before you throw the pose out. All right. If you have a pose saved and the pose doesn't work, try one of these techniques before you throw the pose out Because if it doesn't work with these techniques, then that pose may not fit their body type. That is where that comes in. If it doesn't work with these techniques, that pose may not fit their body type. All right? You're hilarious. Anybody else got a question? Next class we'll be going into directing. It will be Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Next class will be Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. All right? I'm trying to help y'all get better, and I'm trying to help y'all better y'all images, all right? Trying to help y'all learn how to talk to people, learn how to direct, because that is probably like 90% of the damn job, because you can't get a job if you don't know how to talk to people. If you don't know how to communicate to your clientele, you can't get booked by your clientele. If you don't know how to appease to your clientele or code switch, that's another thing. A lot of people don't know how to code switch. If you know how to code switch with your clientele, you're not going to be able to acquire the types of bookings that you want, right? So you need to know how to code switch with your clientele and how to act certain ways at certain times, because certain things, call for certain measures at certain times, right? Sometimes sometimes your client lit, you got to match their litness. Maybe you're vibing with them and things of that nature, right? Oh, you don't know what code switching is? Okay, code switching is, for example, if knowing when and where to do certain things, right? So if your client is a vibe and they like listening to ratchet music, allowing them to listen to that ratchet music and you're matching their vibe. Not saying you're also being maybe, let's say, ratchet with them or getting, boom, boom with them, but knowing their vibe and knowing the types of jokes or things that appease to that vibe, right? Being able to read the room, feel the vibe, exactly, right? Or if you're around the opposite demographic, understanding how that opposite demographic performs and understanding how to talk to them and what things may be offending to them for you to say, right? So understanding how to code switch, understanding where you are and what you're doing and how what you may say or what you may do may offend your client, right? So there's things for that. So make sure that, kind of keep that in mind. And I'm going to be talking about that in this class, more so directing and communication skills to kind of keep in mind, both verbally and physically, because your body language can also give a bad vibe to a client as well, right? Your body language says a lot about you. And if you have the wrong body language sometimes, physically, then it could throw a client off or make them feel bad. All right. Any last questions before I close out? Was class good today? If y'all are here, can y'all put something in the chat? I just feel like I put everybody else to sleep today. Okay, I'm just making sure. I feel like I put everybody else to sleep today. It was great. Okay, it was great.
To be fair, very present all classes. Just I feel like you was covering all your dots and your T's and dotting all your I's. I feel like I couldn't even ask me questions. You was getting it all out there.
Okay, see, that's good. Okay, thank you. Because that's my goal, bro. My goal is to try to answer a question that I think you're gonna ask before you ask, because it's kind of how I was like I hate classes that you would, not classes, but let's say for example you join a paid course or something, and it doesn't answer all your questions. You ask questions and it doesn't answer the questions that you think that they should think that you have a question after that. If you ask question one, obviously there's a question two that leads up to that. So I try to think, okay, if I ask question one, what questions does this create? Or if I answer this question that they had in their head, what questions does this now create? Okay, how do I answer all of those questions that they could have had too? So that way, after you guys finish this class and course, y'all don't gotta come back. That's the whole goal. It's get y'all from zero to surgical to where y'all could just go and sprout out. But stay in the Discord afterwards though. But just go and spread your wings.
Yes, sir.
But that's the whole goal, bro. The goal not for y'all to be here forever. I feel like if I was giving y'all half-ass information and y'all kept asking questions, then it would make y'all stay here forever and I'd be just stealing y'all bread. But that's not what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Any more questions before I close this? Close class. Got a lot of studying to do. Yeah. This was good, even though I came in late due to work. This was very good information. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did do a little bit of micro rambling only because I'm neurodivergent, if a lot of you guys don't know. So my mind kept going to a lot of different stuff that I was doing or that I have to do, because I have my calendar pulled up right now. So I'm looking at all the VFX edits I got to do. I got to do 4 VFX edits. Yeah, bro. I gotta do 4 VFX and I have to edit the vlog by Friday to be able to drop at 6 p.m. for y'all. I got 4 photo shoots tomorrow. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 on Wednesday. Fuck, 5 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and I have 1, 2, 3 on Friday. So, yep, it's crazy. So what's the goal? Every Friday at 6 p.m. The goal is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. But I'm damn sure not gonna be able to finish that vlog by 6 p.m. bro. The goal is posting every Wednesday at 6. But the reason why I did Friday is for y'all, like so everybody could post their because it's the meetup. It's the meetup video. Oh, what's the goal? What's the goal for the meetup? Oh yeah. So it's 6. Yeah, the goal is like 6 p.m. on Fridays. Not every Friday because we won't have a meetup every single Friday, but yeah. Oh, so what's the goal? Everyone at 6 p.m. Friday. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what you're asking. Yeah, the goal is 6 p.m. Friday for everything. Yeah, that's the goal. 6 p.m. Yeah, bro. I need to go to sleep, gang. But 4 on one day. How are you managing all the shoots? How am I managing it? Bro, I've had 4 ain't shit. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. That might sound bad. I'm not trying to like belittle anybody or anything. I'm sorry. I apologize. But in comparison to the amount that I have done in a day, 4 is nothing. In comparison to the amount that I have done in one day. Wow. Hope to be so booked as y'all in the future. I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's coming very soon, gang. If you listen, bro. If y'all just listen, bro, that'd be the main thing, bro. A lot of people don't listen, bro. I be in one-on-ones. I'd be like, do A, B, C, D, and E. They come back to me and be like, okay, I just did A, B, and C. I'm like, okay, where is D and E? They're like, oh, but I did A, B, and C. So like, where's the stuff from A and B? I'm like, bro, what the hell, bro? Do C, D, and E. They're like, oh, I didn't do C, D, and E. And I'm like, bro, you don't listen. If you listen to what I say, then you'll be better, bro. So I love you guys, bro. But definitely lock in. Definitely lock in, bro. Like, if y'all feel like y'all don't have anything to do, you definitely do. Like, if you're not getting booked, you don't have any bookings, that's cool. You can do recon on like concept ideas. You can be creating self-portraits. You can be connecting with friends, connecting with people online, finding somebody that's near you to maybe do a shoot with them. Maybe you're doing a shoot with someone, building up your portfolio. So many different ways, but like I feel like you have to create the image that you want to foresee. Like if you want to be booked, you have to create the image of you already being booked, bro. Like, and that may sound like faking it till you make it, but shit, it is what it is. Like you have to create that image for people to even believe that you do this for real. Like if you don't like create the image for social media to even believe that you do this, or for the general population that's supposed to be booking you to even feel like you're doing shit in this industry, then bro, like a lot of my shoots, bro, like when I was first going, it was fake as hell, bro. It's like you look at my story and it's like, damn, bro, he's shooting all the damn time. Yeah, bro, literally I know I'm making no bread. But it made sense, bro. Like it made sense, bro, and it got me here, which is why I'm teaching y'all the same thing. And a lot of you guys are like money hungry. So when you guys are like really, really hungry for the bread, or you guys are starving, or you guys, join photography for the wrong reasons, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get to your goal because you joined for the wrong reasons, bro. So that's like where the shit becomes like you gotta be tunnel vision, bro. You gotta be tunnel vision and delusional, bro. You gotta want it, bro. And if you don't want it, you can't sustain it. If you don't want it, you cannot sustain it, bro. Like you're not gonna get anywhere in the photography world if you don't want it bad enough, bro. Yeah, but want doesn't pay the bills. Want doesn't pay the bills. Hell yeah, your ass not gonna pay the bills either if you out here. Okay, let me stop. I'm sorry. Yeah. Y'all gotta be complaining, bro. Y'all be pissing me off. That's the only thing. Y'all complain about what y'all can't do, and you keep putting a cap on your damn self, and y'all be pissing me off, bro. Because y'all be, oh my gosh, y'all be pissing me off, bro. Because y'all don't understand y'all own potential. Like y'all put caps on yourself for no fucking reason. Like y'all don't understand that you guys are the blueprint. Like you literally are your own blueprint. No one around you might be doing what you're doing. No one around you might believe in what you're doing, but you are literally the blueprint. You are the thing that can get you out of any problem that you're in currently. And when you have a victim mindset, you can't get out of shit because you are always the victim. So how about you start, blaming yourself for everything that's going wrong in your life, and you find a way to correct it rather than being like, everything's happening to me. but figure out how you can make everything happen to the world. Like, how can you outwards, impact? How can you can't control, you can't control, what comes to you, but you can control what you give out. You can control what you dish out. You can control the energy that you put out into the world. You can control the substance that you put out to the world. You can control the content that you put out into the world. You can control the effort that you put out into the world. You cannot control what you get back. Those are uncontrollable factors. But when you start to dwell on the uncontrollable factors, you cannot reap anything. You cannot grow. You will not flourish because you start to dwell on the uncontrollable factors, the thing that you can't control. Oh my God, I'm not getting clients. Are you really putting in the work to the extent in which you think you should be to be able to get those clients? Or are you half-assing it? Are you actually doing the work that you think you're supposed to be doing to the extent in which you should be? Or are you half-assing it? Majority of the time you're half-assing it, and you're saying that you're working harder than you really are to make others feel bad for you. And I'm speaking from experience because I've done it. And you gotta stop, bro. Like, stop being a victim, bro. I was a victim. I was like, oh, my mom wasn't there. My dad wasn't there. Oh, damn, I grew up. Oh, I was homeless. Oh, my God, I did this. Oh, my God, that. When I stopped blaming everybody else for my problems and I locked in and blamed my damn self and figured it out, I got out. Bro. So when you stop blaming everyone else, stop blaming your boss because he didn't give you a raise, stop blaming the world because of the current situation that you're in, and blame yourself and figure out, what can I control? Because there's a lot of shit you cannot control, but there's a lot of shit that you can control. And you're not even controlling what you can control for you to even elevate past where you are currently. Control what you can control, and you'll get further than you are right now. You're focusing on the uncontrollable factors, and you will never get anywhere because you physically can't control that shit. Oh my God, I don't got enough followers. You can't control the follower point. Are you outputting what you need to be outputting? Oh my God, I don't got enough money. Are you outputting what you should be outputting? Because you're worried so much about the input. It's impact. How are you impacting? What are you putting out? In order for you to get any form of input, you can't get any input without outputting. If your hands are closed and you're sitting there with your hands closed and crumbled up, you literally can't receive shit else because you're not doing anything to go get it. So when I see a lot of people, especially in the chat, complaining about having lack, when you complain about having lack and you focus on having lack, all you will continue to get and maintain and have is lack. You will continue to lack because you focus on lack. I don't have. Shut up. We don't care what you don't have. We care about what you're going to go get. Like, we don't care about what you do not have currently. We care about how you're going to go get the thing that you do not have and that you do want, or you feel that you rightfully so deserve. We don't care about what you don't have right now, bro. We care about what you're going to go get, and we care about how you're going to go get it, and we're going to help you figure a way to go get the shit. But if you're constantly in pursuit, there's no way that you can fail, gang. If you're constantly in pursuit and you're constantly pushing to achieve something bigger than yourself, you can't fail. You cannot lose. But if you're constantly in a sense or a feeling of lack, you will lack forever. You will forever lack. Because you're constantly in a feeling of lack or a season of lack, you will forever lack. So stop and start to walk in a season of abundance. Start to walk in the feelings of abundance. Like, yeah, bro, like, I got this, man. Rather than, bro, life is shit. I've documented all the shit parts of my life, and I still left damn near 75% out. Showed you guys everything, bro. And that should be like a testimony to show you guys that shit does not stop you, bro. Like, when I say hell and back, gang, and to be able to see a lot of people still complaining, bro, it's like, bro, like, no excuses, bro. Like, how bad do you want it? You don't want it bad enough, or you're just not that passionate enough. People say passion doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't pay the bills because people get 2 steps into passion and be like, damn, this shit real. Yeah, this shit real. How bad you want it, though? I'm passionate about photography, but damn, this real, bro. This real. Yeah, it's real. It's real. You want it or no? Like, you don't want it? Cool. Go get a job again, bro. Or, oh, you cool. You don't want it? All right, cool. Quit. Do you want it, bro? If you want the success in photography, you will get it, bro. If you want the success in any business model that you have right now, or that you want to have, or that you're longing for, you will get it. That's why, like, the number one saying I love is, how bad do you want it? That's the reason why I got this damn shirt on, bro. Like, bro, come on. Hardest working humans, bro. Like, hardest working human, bro. Like, I live and die by that shit. Like, I'm literally about to get this shit tatted on my back, I swear. Hardest working human. Like, I wholeheartedly believe in that. Like, you have to be one of the hardest workers. Find the person in your industry, in your location, who's working hard. Make them a form of your blueprint. If you feel like you're getting nowhere in life, cool. Find someone in your location that's working hard. Make them a form of your blueprint. And 10x their work. 3x it. Sorry, some of y'all can't get to 10. 3x it. And you will get there in 3 times the time it took them to get there. I had a version of a person that it took them 6 years to get where they got, and I got there in 2. It took them 6 years. I got there in 2 years. Because I was studying, bro. I was studying them. I was learning. I was figuring out, okay, if they're doing this many times, or they're doing this, they're doing that, how can I do it faster? How can I do it quicker? How can I get there sooner? How can I get there faster? If someone's doing something once a week and it took them 10 years to do it, if you do it 5 times a week, it'll take you like 5 times less the time, bro. That's actually crazy. It'll take you 2 years. If they're doing it once a week and it took them 10 years and you do it 5 times a week, it will quite literally take you 2 years. Lock the fuck in, bro. Lock in. That's all I gotta say, bro. Lock in, bro. Lock in. A lot of you guys have a lot of excuses, and I just hate feeling like I'm just taking y'all money. So I want y'all to learn this shit. I want y'all to lock in so y'all guys can go make some damn bread. But a lot of y'all have a lot of mental barriers that you still have to get through because you don't even fucking believe that you can do it. That's like the worst part about it. Is everybody else around you probably telling you you can do it, and they probably still don't believe, but you really don't believe that you can do it. Or you're afraid of the success that's going to come your way when you do get past that last barrier. You're probably afraid of the success that's going to come your way when you take that last risk because you're not trying your hardest, or you're too comfortable where you are currently. So lock in. If you want it bad, you'll get it. My difference is that I had no other option. I gave myself zero opportunity to leave. I gave myself zero opportunity to get out of this shit. I said, bro, I'm going all in. I forced myself into an uncomfortable situation from already being in an uncomfortable situation, forced myself into a more uncomfortable situation. And I had one way out, and that was through. There was no back. And a lot of times when you start a venture and you have other options, it's so easy to quit that venture. If you know that your goal is photography and you know that, oh, I got this to fall back on, and you're not pushing yourself, even though you're like, this that I have to fall back on is temporary, but I'm gonna go full-fledged forward and try to make this thing work. That's a different type of drive than if you're like, oh, I'll just dabble in photography a little bit. So if you actually want to make this thing work, I'm not saying that I'm pushing everybody to become a full-time photographer, but if you want to make this thing work and even make it, have it make even 50% of your current income, right? Even if you want to make 50% of your current income or pay your car off, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to use it to go on trips or something like that. In order for you to do that, you have to, even believe that you can do it. And if you don't even believe that you can do it, then damn sure don't nobody else believe. But I believe, because I was dealt a crazy ass deck of cards, bro. And I don't even talk about them shits. That's how you know that I stopped allowing the things that were once affecting me in my life. I stopped allowing them to create my identity, and I started to create my identity for myself. So a lot of people are in scarcity mindset, or in the lack mindset, or they're in a survival mode where it's like, all these things are happening to me in life. Oh my God, everything's bad is happening to me. So think about what's happening to you and think about what you can do to the world. It's up to you whether you're going to do it positive or negative and how you're going to allow it. You're giving your power away every time you allow something to do something to you. You're literally giving it the power over you. That's anything. I used to give my power away to my mom, my dad. I used to give my power away to my grandparents. I used to give my power away to so many people that I felt like, damn, I gotta match their way. I gotta match their void. I gotta fill that void. I used to give my power away to employers, to deans of schools, giving that power away to allowing them to have that like that authority over me. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna be the next this. Oh yeah, you gotta do this. You're gonna be the next this. Oh yeah, make sure you go to this. Oh, after that, go for your masters. After that, go for this. Oh, make sure that you do this because you're gonna be this, or you're gonna be the best this. You gotta get us out to this. Allowing so much power over you, bro. Especially when people are trying to lead you in the wrong direction, like, or a direction that doesn't feel true to you, and then you allow yourself to stay down for too long. You have to be the change that you want to see, bro. Oh, sorry for the vent session, bro, but be the change you want to see, bro. If your ass want better in life, you'll do better in life, bro. And I'm on a whole different frequency right now, bro, where it's like, if you want better, bro, you'll do better, bro. Lock in, bro. That's all I gotta say. I'll lock in. I love y'all, bro. I'm gonna get the hell off this shit. It's 10:14. Lock in, bro. Stop blaming the world. Stop blaming your boss. Stop blaming your mom. Stop blaming everybody, bro. Blame yourself and figure out how you can control the factors of your life that you can control, and get the hell out of your current situation if you don't like it. Because quite literally, you have free will, and you keep forgetting that you have that. You have free will to get off your ass and make something happen in life. But you're choosing to sit the fuck down and be comfortable. That's not a purposeful life. That's not living a purposeful life. You're comfortable where you're at. It's not good. Love you guys. Hasta luego. See y'all Wednesday for posing and directing verbal and physical. TTYL. Love y'all Instagram. Love y'all TikTok. Talk to y'all later, gang. What's up, gang?